Hi guys. Hi Allie. How are you, babe? How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good.
Hey,
How are you?
I'm good. You're naked though. Your little avatar's not showing. I don't know if you want to fix that or not. It's up to you.
Huh. It's
All you
showing
gotta
on my.
do it. Yeah, it does that, but it's not showing on YouTube. Just change it real quick and change it
Okay.
back. That'll fix
Do
it.
you see my thing under my
Let me
name?
see. Stiff as a damn board. Where'd that come from? I'm dying to know.
You're bendy Lou because you're flexible.
Oh my God, I love it. I'm bendy and you're stiff as a board. I love it. That's so cute. I love
Okay,
it.
I'll be right back. I'm gonna try to fix this. I'll be right
All
back
right,
in.
babe. Okay. Hi, everybody. Let's say hi to everybody. See who all we got in here. Let me scroll. Hey, Minnie Mo. Hey, Jennifer. Hey, Amanda. Hey, Queen Olive. Good to see you. Brandy One and True Crime. Nate D. What up, boo? Hey, Lupe. Hey, Trista. Jane Doe. Punksy. Who else? Tony. Truth Teller. Hello. Let's see. Vanessa. Hello. Hello. Welcome. I'm so glad to see all of you guys. BG. That girl, James. Welcome. Welcome, Laura. Good to see all of you guys. All my faves are in here. Yay. That's awesome. I'm so glad. Hey, Lori. I hope I didn't miss anybody because it just skipped. So, yeah. Well, hello, hello, hello. Well, while we wait for Allie to get back, let's all have a word from our sponsors. Oh, wait, I almost clicked the wrong thing.
And Kai, when you're on Jen Lou's channel, what do you do with the like button?
Smash, smash, smash. Yeah.
Oh, you're not naked anymore. You look gorge. I mean, you were probably gorge naked, but you know what I mean. I just came out all the way wrong. But now I can't hear you. And also, after you smash the button, remember to say,
no malicious.
and you got to underline it too so people know you're serious about it. So welcome on in. Tonight, Allie and I, can you hear me, babe? Uh-oh. So tonight what we're going to do is we're going to go through some of Chad's preliminary trials now, or hearing, I should say, not trial. The one that we're going to watch tonight is the officers, like the people that actually recovered the kids. Oh, there she is.
Did that
now
work?
I can hear you. Yes, perfect.
Yay! Okay.
Yay. So yeah, I was telling them what we're gonna go over tonight. I thought I put it in my thing, but I didn't. So I'm gonna bring it up over here.
Yeah, I think this is one of the most tough parts of this. It's tough to hear.
Yeah. Yeah. So did you ever watch it a little bit or listen to it so we could tell me where to skip? Or no? It's fine if you didn't.
I didn't, but I'm almost certain. And actually, I am certain.
Okay.
I know for a fact what the guy looks like. So if you bring it up, I'll tell you which one is the one who really.
Okay.
By looking, I could tell you. Yeah, I think he's the second one.
Okay.
But he's actually a cutie too. Pretty cute.
You like them law enforcement men over here with like I'm still in 1995, like in Bad Boys. I have never grown up and grown out of that. I don't think I ever will.
That's funny.
I don't think I ever will. I like Dirty Skater Boys. I can't help it. Always have.
I still like the Bad Boys too, but I did grow out of that some, I think.
When you get, yeah, I got a little bit of he started out a bad boy, then he grew up. So it was nice. We grew up together. I mean, we were 18 and 21. I sure as hell thought I was grown. I was not grown at all. All right, let's see. Can you see it, babe?
Yep.
All right.
Okay, so not him. It's the next
right.
one.
Okay.
He talks a little bit about it, but he's more about
Not
the
this
next
one?
guy. Right,
No,
not
it's
him.
still the same guy.
Yeah, I think he's Idaho State Police, and the guy
Okay.
that is FBI, the guy that
We
I'm
want to hear FBI. Okay.
yeah.
All right, hold on. He was up there for a while.
Yeah, he is up there for a while. I'm surprised that but the other guy is too, and I believe he's up there through like maybe a break, maybe, or
He might be on day 1, part 2, maybe.
yeah, maybe. I would go if we I would keep going till in case
I'm
that
going to
he's right
go.
up
Oh, I'm going to keep going just to be sure.
there. Okay. Yeah, he's definitely right after him. He's the next officer, because they bring this guy up. He's like
Yeah, that's the one.
small
It must
town
be
police,
part
I
2.
think. Mhm.
Okay, local police.
Yeah, and the reason I say I'm certain without going back is because Melissa, I had told her about like the part, and she actually pulled it up the other day, so I saw it then, like part
All
of it.
right.
He has like a spiky hairdo, and yeah, when you pull it up, I'll tell you.
Here we go. Here's day 1, part 2. I hear your crickets.
Yeah, I came outside because I was afraid. Like, I put the data on because I didn't know why. I don't know, just so you could hear me because you
No,
weren't
you're
hearing
doing
me.
just fine. You're doing just fine. No, I love it outside. I would be outside right now if I could be. I would much
I love
rather
it.
be outside. This time of year in Florida is perfect. It's a little muggy in the morning, but it cools off nice in the nighttime, and you're not like, super hot or whatever. It's perfect.
So now it's
Well, I'm glad you got closer to the mic. Thanks for doing that, sir. We appreciate that.
now, yeah. After his turn to grill him, then it'll be the next dude.
All right. All right.
Views.
It's still him.
It's a long testimony. I mean, if you want, we can watch him. He goes into finding them too, but the other guy is the one who really describes like.
No, I want the FBI guy.
Okay.
This is Law and Order's trickery. Law and Crime's trickery. All right, so it's got to be part 3.
Oh, how frustrating though. Because like I just expected it to be in 2 parts, like the first half of the day and
Me
the second
too.
half.
That's how Law and Crime usually does it. But lately, they have been not doing it like that. They've been breaking it down into littler pieces.
Which gives them way more views.
Correct. They're smart. I mean, they know how the math works, which I mean, okay. And they're really good about letting people like me and you and other true crimers, stream and stuff. So I'm not going to complain too much.
Yeah.
I don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth, as they say.
Now, I'm trying to remember, is it what is the little town that she lived in Idaho? Because it was the first officer was either the town police or just Idaho police, and I was trying to remember.
It starts with an R, doesn't it?
Rexburg, yes.
Rexburg. There we go.
And I think he's a Rexburg PD, as a matter of fact, that first. And now
is
he's
it this
not
guy right here?
No, but he's not up. I don't think he's up there long. Damn, I should have went back and looked. I'm sorry, Jen.
No, you're fine, babe. No, look, I could have gone. Is it this guy?
No. I think he's right after him. Because there's a couple that are just up there really briefly.
Yeah, they were. Oh, look at Chad's face. Can you see?
Yeah.
Looks like a toad. This guy?
Mm-mm.
No. Okay. right. No, still no.
No, still not him. No.
Well, I'll find it. It's all right.
And then we got Melanie.
Oh, there's Melanie. All right, I think I know what to do. It's on a different. I know it's on another channel. Just the FBI agent. Yes.
Yes.
All right.
And I have a clip of it on my channel, like an old video that will show you what he looks like. But if
FBI Special Agent Steve Daniels.
I can't remember. Do
All
you see
right.
what he looks like?
Yeah.
What's he look like? Kind of spiky hair.
Hold on, let me look again. Does he play tapes and stuff?
He has pictures. They go through pictures and
Oh, for fuck's sake. What the hell did I just do?
but we don't get to see him. Anyway, hey TT. Hey Amelia, Tara.
All right,
Thank you
I'm
guys
gonna
for
have-
being here.
Thank you guys for being here. Let me share my screen and you tell me if this is our friend. He's not really our friend, but let's pretend he's our friend. Okay. That's obviously Chad. That's not who we're looking for. Hold on. Him?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
And he's the cutie. I think he's cute anyways. For
He is
cop.
cute. He is cute.
Okay, I'm sorry, Jen. I'm glad that
No,
we
babe,
found
you are
pictures
so
like
fun. No, it's perfectly fine. No, look, we found it, right?
I know. I just
So don't worry about it.
starting to
Don't worry about
pace the porch.
Oh my God. Don't pace the porch. We have really cool people who are very patient with us.
I
So
know.
we're very lucky. Okay, are we ready?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, let's hit it. Hey, Amelia Sparkles, Tara Lee, and everybody else I didn't see come in that came in. Ruby Joy, hello, hello. Who'd I miss? Sunset Gaming, Charlie, hey. Tara, I think I said hi to Tara. I think I said hi to everybody. Okay, hi. All right, here we go.
Pretty cool. I would call Marco, maybe.
Hold on. Let me just.
Some of the technology concerns of publishing this exhibit. I note that the witness has left the witness stand. It's my understanding there's been a stipulation that excused this witness at this juncture. There's been admission of the exhibit. And there's also been a stipulation that the exhibit can be published, Exhibit 20. It is my understanding the state is desiring to restart Exhibit 20 from the beginning and to republish. Is that correct, Mr. Rammel?
That's right.
You may do so.
Thank you.
Now, let me say this. Oh, Lori out here calling collect. Okay, this is what I want to say. Hey, Crime Curious. Patience with patience. Amen. Why didn't we get to keep this judge? Do they, I guess maybe because like with Judge Newman, with Alec Murdaugh trial, he presided over all of them, every single preliminary hearing, like with both the murder charges and the financial crimes. Why did we lose this judge? I like this judge.
Whenever it moved on to like the trial phase, we lost him, and I don't know why. And I liked him too. I liked him a lot, and now I'm concerned about the one we have now. I mean, I hope it goes well, but you hear things.
Yeah. Have you heard any more about what they're going to do with the audio? Because seriously, 25 cents, isn't it like 25 cents a minute?
Yep.
That's poppycock.
I know. But I know that Nate Eaton said that they are going to get it daily if people want to see it. And I know people responded because he was like, if you guys want to see it, we're going to get it. So we can get it from East Idaho News, but they're not going to have it until like maybe that night. That's like the night, like that's not long. Because some of them we were waiting until the next day, but here recently he's been posting them the night of the court date.
Okay. So Laura said that Lori struck him, no cause needed. Wow. See, that's the only part of the law that I don't actually know a whole lot about. Once they get into the trial, then I'm fine. But
See,
th-
I
I'm
thought it was because we moved out of his court. The way that I understood it was like
it
something
is
like that.
poppycock, truth teller. 25 cents a minute. That's ridiculous.
Yeah. And look
I
how
mean,
long you're like,
exactly.
what'd you go through trying to find this from day one? Like 8 hours at least.
Exactly. And here's the problem. This is why it's upsetting to me, because there are friends and family. I'm not even talking about the general public, but I'm talking about friends and family and people who cared, who knew JJ and Tylee in real life. Okay. Now, it's not that we don't care. Obviously, we all care, but it's a different vested interest for them. Okay. It's personal to them.
Yeah.
That how are they supposed to see it? I don't like that. That's not, that's not how this was supposed to be.
And actually, that's what some of them have said. Some of the people they seen Kay and Larry talking about that and talking about, family. Some family wants to see it that maybe won't be there. It's ridiculous, but they're streaming it to other courthouses in Idaho. It's bizarre how they're doing it. They are streaming it to other courthouses, to waiting rooms in Ada County and maybe one other place, but they won't stream it to the public. It's frustrating.
What are we deleting, truth teller? Oh, never mind. I got it.
This is when the cops are sitting in the yard. Lori calls Chad.
Yes. And this is like, and then she's are you gonna call me later? He's like, if I can't. He's like Eeyore. Lori is, I don't want to call Lori Tigger because, and I really don't want to call Chad Eeyore, but because I like Tigger, T-I-double-G-R, but Lori's all hype like that. Maybe she's, and then here comes Chad, Well, I lost my tail again. It's gross.
Perfect. Sure.
I wouldn't be married to him in one lifetime.
Yeah.
Let alone several.
Are they in the house? No, they're out in the property. Are they seizing stuff?
No, Lori, they're fucking digging.
They're searching. There's a search warrant. So.
Search warrants and
for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Not a care in her mind. Look at her.
Yeah. I tried to pull up a call. Glad you called. Yeah.
We'll see what transpires.
Okay.
What do you do? Pray. What do you want me to do?
What do you want me to do? Now you be Chad. Okay.
What can I do for you?
What can I do for you? I'm locked behind bars. I can't do shit, but anyways, what can I do?
I'm doing pretty calm. I would call Marco, maybe.
Yeah, call the lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
Talk with him.
Have you talked to Marty?
Hey, Crystal.
I would call him.
Hey, Mo. Dean.
So he knows what they're doing.
Yeah. It's okay. Call from somebody else I need to talk to. I love you so much.
Okay, I love you.
I love you. We're super fucking hoes now.
I don't know. I don't know. You can try. Yeah.
You can try. I'm probably going to be locked up.
Okay.
Okay.
I love you and we'll talk soon.
Okay, baby. I love you.
Okay. Love you. Good night.
Okay, bye.
How do his children believe that he didn't know I mean, I just don't
I would
understand
notice
that.
that the sound quality was not great on that.
Hold on, I'm going to push pause, babe. I wasn't ready for the judge to interrupt us. Excuse us, Your Honor. Okay.
Excuse us, Your Honor.
Excuse us, Your Honor. Let me do it
But
like,
seriously.
excuse us, Your Honor. Is there anything I can do for you? Excuse us.
Well, just call the attorney.
I'll try to call you later. I love you so much in this lifetime and the 11 billion after, because we're going to burn in hell forever. I mean, no. We're going to rule the world. Sorry.
No. We're going to rule the world. But no, I was just saying, like, how do his kids, they went and did a whole 48 hours episode about how Chad was innocent and basically just a victim of Lori's and her, her chaos.
And her
they-
womanly wiles.
Yeah, and they believe it. And how do they, tell me they've heard that phone call? That's just, I don't know. Willful
I don't
ignorance.
understand. It's got to be, Allie. Oh, uh-oh. Allie got smoked. Chad opened a portal and Allie left. She'll be back. I don't understand how anybody can. Now listen, I want to hear all the evidence, okay? Mainly because I want to know exactly what role each one of them played, because I know they all played a role. Did Chad get you in the portal?
Yeah, exactly what happened. Thanks a lot, Chad.
Thanks, Chad. I don't understand. Listen, I want to, like I started saying, I want to hear all of the evidence, because I want to know exactly what each person's role was, what their level of culpability was, what they knew and when they knew it. I want to know all of those things. But there is nothing in my mind that tells me at all that Chad is in any way any sense of the word innocent at all.
Yep. I agree with you. I have someone in my chat the other day who kind of did feel like he was. I was surprised because it's not often I've heard that. Have you ever heard that?
Say that one more time.
Someone that was in my chat that was like a Chad supporter that thought that he was innocent, and I had never talked to someone before who thought that.
I've never seen anybody that's ever said that they were innocent or Chad was innocent. Now I'll say this. Even if Chad did not do the physical unaliving, okay, there is no way that he didn't know what was going on that. There's no way. There is no level of there's nothing that Lori could have ever said or done. They were on his property, for Pete's sake. That's where those kids were found. How could he not know? Yep. So even if he wasn't the principal unaliver, that's not how the law works. If you're there, you do nothing and you don't report it, like, you can get away with not doing anything and say, okay, I was in fear for my own life. But the minute that you break free, you better be on the phone with 911. And he wasn't.
Yep.
So it's ridiculous.
And then you even line it up with the shooting the raccoon and Candy cane. No, that is not why. Actually, the reason why Lori's attorney fought for it and said it was basically because that people were mocking Lori, zooming in on her, focusing too much on how she looks, what she looks like, and she wasn't getting a fair trial.
Even though literally your girl over here, yes, I said that she uses hot Cheeto dust for lipstick. I stand by what I said. I meant it. I am not sorry. And I said that she probably uses coffee for her eyeliner and mascara. Sure did. I said it. I meant it. No regrets. I'm not in Idaho. I can't try her, and neither can 90% of the public, for Pete's sake.
Yep.
So this is what I say. The other problem was that the lawyer tables are mic'd. Okay. And that is so obviously they can be heard, right? The problem is that the lawyers said that the mics were hot during what would be considered privileged conversation, client, attorney-client privilege, which is ridiculous because when the state is examining a witness, the defense's mics are muted and vice versa. So nobody was hearing anything. It was ridiculous. Lori's a big old crybaby. You liked the cameras before, didn't you, Lori? Oh, but it's not fun for you now. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Which this is fine. I think it's absolutely fine that they don't want to have cameras in the pretrial. Fine. Don't. For all their pretrial hearings and stuff like that. Fine, don't. But stream the trial. The public deserves to know.
I agree. Now, East Idaho News did pay for like 3 sketches a day, I think.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
This is, and I understand that it's extremely, that them changing venue, the way that they had to do it and all that is going to be extremely expensive. But to try to recoup the cost by charging the public like this is just ridiculous. And I'm upset about it. I'm very angry. I don't agree.
It is
Court is
ridiculous.
going to
It is ridiculous.
take liberty to listen to that outside of the courtroom in preparation of making its ruling. And I may do so on a different device to try and get the sound quality to be better. Any objection to me using that disc to try and get sound quality on a better device? Mr. Pryor?
No objection whatsoever from the defense, Your Honor.
Mr. Remmel?
Nothing from the state, Judge. Thank you.
That concludes the witness, the jailer that just testified. Mr. Remmel or Mr. Wood, are you going to call the next witness?
Yes, the state calls Steve Daniels.
Mr. Daniels, does he have a title, Mr. Wood?
Special agent.
Special
Thank you.
agent.
Special agent. Let me get my Lori voice on. Special agent.
Special Agent Daniels, if you'll wait right there for just a moment while we clean this witness table.
You know he smells good.
If you'll stand and move your right arm and face the clerk.
Sorry.
Keep it in your pants, Ellie.
You can be seated here at the witness stand. Special
I
Agent
bet he
Daniels.
gets Irish Spring.
You can take off your mask once you've entered that witness cubicle.
It looks like he uses bar soap. Look at Chad.
Special Agent, if you'll make sure to listen to the questions that are being asked, wait for the person inquiring to finish their question before you begin answering as we're making a record. Mr. Wood, you may inquire when you're ready.
Thank you. Can you state your name and spell it for the record, please?
Steve Daniels, STEVE, DANIELS.
Thank you. What is your occupation?
I'm a special agent with the Federal Bureau of Investigation out of Salt Lake City, Utah.
Okay. And do you have any special responsibilities with the FBI?
I'm the senior team leader for the evidence response team out of Salt Lake City, Utah, and we cover the states of Utah, Idaho, and Montana.
Okay. How long have you been in that position?
I've been the senior team leader for approximately 8 years.
And how long have you worked for the FBI?
For approximately 23 years.
Okay. Did you receive any additional training to work on the evidence response team?
Evidence response team members are provided 80 hours of basic training where we learn kind of our general policies, procedures, guidance, guidelines as to how we would handle crime scenes, how we process crime scenes, how we would execute search warrants, things of that nature. After we receive the basic training, we're then offered advanced trainings. One of those advanced trainings is the Human Remains Recovery course. That's pertinent to this, what we're going to talk about today. That training is currently offered at the University of Tennessee. I've had that training.
Okay. Thank you. Agent, what involvement, if any, did you have with the search on the Chad Daybell residence on June 9th and 10th of 2020?
I was the senior team leader, so the team leader was my role at that search of Chad Daybell's property on those dates.
Okay. What did you and your team do in preparation for the search of that property?
Approximately 1 week prior to that search, the local case agent contacted me and let me know that there was going to be a search on the Daybell property. And at that point, we helped develop the search strategy to search the property. And that strategy
let me turn his
involved
quality
working
up.
with the local law enforcement, the local FBI
Oh
agents,
yes, well, we'll put
working with our evidence
Ah,
response team unit,
that's
who
the best
oversees
it
all of
can
the evidence
go.
response teams throughout the nation, and then working with our FBI laboratory to develop a search strategy prior
Lame.
to hitting boots on the ground, prior to executing that search warrant.
Allie wants your boots on
And
her
do you and your
ground.
team have protocols that you follow in a search such as this?
Yes, like I previously mentioned, we have an 80-hour
By the way,
training that we receive.
Yes.
Currently, that
Maybe
training
they
is
were
received at Fredericksburg, Virginia.
What, babe?
I think it looks more blurry because they were, and plus the quality isn't up to what, it could be, but I think they have like plexiglass up, right?
Yes, they do. Plexiglass. Yeah, because you can see the court reporter's unfortunate, the way, bless her heart, her reflection halfway in there, bless her heart.
Yep. But okay.
Oh,
I'll
crap.
get
I
back.
hate when this stupid widget pops up for no reason. Get out of here. I never click you. I don't even need that. It came with the
And
Windows
all of our
11
team members
update.
take that
I
training.
have so
That's where
many
we learn
regrets over
the
doing
policies,
that.
procedures,
I
guidelines that
always
we would
kinda-
incorporate at any of our crime scenes, or if we execute a search warrant, that's where we learn those policies and procedures.
Okay. What was the first thing, when did you arrive on the Daybell property?
So on June 9th of 2020,
Listen, everybody,
early
what
in the
happens
morning,
on the
is when we
ward
would arrive.
stays on the ward, okay?
What was the first thing you instructed your team
Ain't
to do?
nobody snitching over here.
So in this case, we had a week of preparation, approximately, and I had already assigned roles to all of my team members. We had about 8 ERT team members who responded, and all of my team members already had preliminary roles assigned.
Look at Chad
Some of
trying
those
to
initial
open up a
steps
portal up
or
underneath
roles
the
would have been
So mad.
ensuring that the scene was secure, ensuring that our team was safe,
The look on his
and
face.
then starting crime scene
Yes,
sign-in log to
like he's
document
really
who was
gonna
entering
do
the scene, who
something.
was exiting the scene.
Hey,
We had
Allie,
a photographer already
79, good to
established.
see you,
The
babe.
photographer would have started
Wait a minute.
creating entry photos. For this scene, we'd already established priority areas. So our photographer was already going to start initiating entry photos, starting with the eastern part of the property. And then as my role, the team leader, I have an administrative log or worksheet that I would have started to fill out. And then as the team leader, one of my initial roles that I would do is start conducting a preliminary survey of this crime scene.
You spoke about areas of interest. How many areas of interest did you have when you arrived on the property?
So as part of our preparation, working with the local law enforcement, case agents up here, the FBI laboratory, we had already established, and I'll speak to kind of the priority things that we did.
Allie, I
We
gotta let
had,
Nestor out. I'll be right back.
satellite
okay?
imagery.
Okay.
We had telephone
All right.
ping information. We had one text message in particular that already allowed us to establish some priority areas of interest on the property.
Okay.
That was a text between Chad
I
and
would ask,
Tammy.
if the state could have State's Exhibit 10 shown to the witness, and if we could put it up on the easel. And it is demonstrative exhibit.
Exhibit 10 will be put on the easel.
So see, they won't let us see this or the pictures they talk about. He kind of does look like Joey from Friends. Allie, he's cute. Cute.
Agent, they're going to hand you a laser pointer. Based on what you just testified, can you point out the areas of interest on that exhibit?
So before we even set foot on the property, this is the fire pit area. So from satellite imagery, similar to what this image is, this wasn't satellite imagery, I don't think, but similar to this image, we could tell that there was a fire pit on the property. Based on my experience, we knew before we even set foot on the property that we could potentially find evidence in the fire pit. So prior to even arriving, I had already assigned 2 of my ERT members, once we arrived, to go to that fire pit and assess what we needed to do to process this fire pit.
Yeah, then there's
Some
Chad.
of those assessments, once we got there, would be, is today, June 9th, 2020, is the fire pit we see today going to be the same fire pit as we had back in September of 2019? We don't know that, but we need to make an assessment by looking at what type of fire pit are we seeing. Do we see ash outside of today's known fire pit that ring. We see ash around that. We already know going in that we need to process this fire pit because something could have happened here.
Charge.
So that was our priority number one area going in without even setting foot on the property.
And what were the other priority areas?
So based on a text message we were already aware of through the investigation, we knew that there was a discussion of a pet cemetery. Before arriving, we didn't know where this pet cemetery was. So one of the assessments we had to make once we arrived was, where is the pet cemetery? That was something we knew from a text message. So our job was to try to locate this pet cemetery.
Okay. And were there any other priority areas?
And then we knew from telephone ping information, we had a ping that was on the east side of this pond, somewhere in here, I'd say.
Judge, can I get some foundation on which specific ping information you're referring to, please?
Mr. Wood?
Mr. or Agent Daniels, were you familiar with the ping information that you were provided? Do you know where it came from?
I would say I'm not familiar with the telephone ping information. So an analyst provided me, told me about the pings. On my evidence response team, I happen to have an FBI analyst who is familiar with the case. And so one of my initial duties was I assigned my analyst who's on my evidence response team, who was familiar with the case. I made her my sketcher. And I basically said, hey, you're the sketcher for this case because you're already involved. Please create essentially a sketch, but it was using some satellite imagery. And please pinpoint for me on this sketch the telephone pings that will be of interest to us as the team. So I can't give you any more detail about those pings. I just assigned the person that I knew was the most knowledgeable about it to give me the pings that we knew would be of interest to us.
Okay, thank you. So you talked about arriving on the property and your first steps and your priority areas. What happened after you identified those areas? What did your team do?
So essentially the photographer went to those priority areas first, so we could quickly get those entry photos taken of those areas before we did these assessments. Once the photographer covered the fire pit area, we sent the 2 team members I had already assigned to that area because we knew that was a known. We knew we had to search the fire pit. We knew there was a fire pit. So those 2 ER team members automatically went over there after the photography was taken and started assessing that scene. And like already.
Could I inquire an aid objection? There's some things that I find are a little confusing to me.
You may.
May I? Officer, you keep making reference to a fire pit and a cemetery. Is the suggestion?
Mr. Pryor, I'm having a hard time hearing you. Can you pull that
I'm
microphone
sorry.
a little bit closer to you?
Officer, you're making reference to a fire pit and a cemetery. Are they at the same location?
The fire pit we could see from satellite imagery.
That's not what I asked you. I asked you whether the cemetery and the fire pit are in the same location.
We don't know where the cemetery is located at this point. We're not boots on the ground. We don't know where the cemetery is.
Okay. But you could see a circular area where there's a fire pit.
Correct, from satellite imagery.
And that's a circular brick area where there's a fire pit. Is that correct?
So once we arrived on scene, we could tell that there were circular bricks ringing a fire pit. So once we were on scene, we could tell what the fire pit consisted of. We were still trying to assess, and I haven't gotten to the pet cemetery, trying to.
All right, I need to stop right here. Go ahead, Allie. I know you got something to say because you did a big old sigh, so hit it, girl. Tell me what you got to say.
I don't even have any. I want to hear what you have to say. I'm just beyond frustrated with Pryor because he tries to, every little thing he has an issue with. And this man, he does a really great job. He's very, like when he's describing photographs and different things like that, he's very cautious of how he words things. And you even heard him. He's like, I can't tell you about the ping. The analyst could, which I do remember someone coming on for that as well, like that testified about.
Yes.
From the cell phone place, the FBI that does cell phones. But anyways, Pryor drives me insane. So he's frustrating me. And then I got to know what you think about Rob Wood. Do you think that he's doing a good job? I do, but now I'm concerned because of how things have went now. But back, I remember when we watched this, I really thought he was going to do great.
I think that he's doing a good job. He's trying not to, he needs to get his best, just enough evidence to secure, that the indictment, that yes, this is the right person for the right crime. We have this evidence, but not giving all of it away, which is what the job is. And I think he's doing a good job there. My problem has nothing to do with any of that. It's with the pet cemetery. That's never a good idea. Can I just say that? That's not a good idea. I mean, we've seen the movie. They've remade it. it doesn't work out good. Okay. Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing out there? You know,
Yeah.
I don't understand how you know, it's not like, even if they were to say, which I think they're going to do a lot of, blaming Alex, because Alex can't talk. He's no longer living and can't defend himself. So otherwise he'd be the third person being tried. Let's be honest. Okay. But they're going to blame him. But at the end of the day, there's no way that Alex could have A, known where that property was, or B, got on that property without Chad knowing about it, for Pete's sake. It's just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
And not to mention that the pet cemetery really ties Chad in, because him and his wife have this cemetery where they bury their pets, and where he claims to have buried a raccoon on the date that, Ty Lee was buried out there. And,
Right.
And so his lawyer can try to stop and get all technical on every little thing. But the reason they're calling it that is because of the text between Chad and Tammy, So, yeah, it ties Chad right in.
Exactly.
I'm so glad we're doing this, though, because,
Me too. Because
watching
we need to remember all this stuff, too.
Yep, exactly. And getting refreshed.
Yep. And be able to express our outrage. We've had to sit quietly for a very long time. I mean, it's been a long time between these preliminary hearings and where we're at today. And yeah, now we're going to wait.
Find where the pet cemetery is.
Better
so we'll get to that in a minute.
And Judge, he covered it. I think I'm going to have to clarify this on cross, and I think that's more appropriate. I just wanted a clarification that we're talking about two distinct areas, correct?
Correct. Eventually, yes.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor.
No problem. Mr. Wood, you may continue to inquire.
Okay. So you arrive on scene and you send out your photographer, correct?
Correct.
And so what did your team do next?
So the photographer starts with the known fire pit area.
Okay.
Once she's taken the entry photos of the fire pit, our two members that we assigned to the fire pit start their assessment of the fire pit to determine how we need to process that. The photographer then moves kind of towards that pond, and about that time, we make the determination based on seeing a statue of a dog, and then in front of the statue of the dog, there's what appears to be a grave. And I base that off my training that I've received, my experience of what a grave could look like, a clandestine grave, in front of this dog statue.
And after you and your team make that determination, what do you do next?
So that area where this dog statue is becomes what I call the pet cemetery. And I make that determination based on this dog statue, the possible graves that I identify in front of this dog statue, based on my experience. And then I determine
me either, Allie 79. It's terrible. What were you going to say, Alex? Allie?
I just wanted to say, so he says he makes that determination based on the statue of the dog and what appears to be a clandestine grave. And then at the beginning, they talk about a text message that also led them to this specific area. Now I'm trying to remember that text message. I know that he says something about he shot a raccoon. Do you remember what he says? He says I shot a raccoon and I'm gonna, what does he call it? A pet cemetery, or what did he call it?
Oh gosh.
I should look it up.
I can't remember.
I
feel like maybe he said, I'm going to bear maybe a name of one of the animals or something like that.
I think you might be right. I'm going to try to find it while we're listening.
Okay. Yeah, I can't imagine being these investigators and having to discover what they ended up discovering. And, I've been thinking about this a lot because there's been a lot it's been decided and determined now that they're not going to seek the death penalty against Lori. Okay. And,
right.
I have to tell you guys that this isn't the worst thing in the world. First of all, death penalty cases are after the fact extremely expensive. And Lori's indigent. So she's, going to appeal, she'll have automatic appeals. That's number one. And number two, I think that we would end up with a situation similar to Jodi Arias. Remember how at first Jodi was asking for the death penalty? Remember
Actually,
that?
I remember the case, but I didn't follow the trial awfully close.
Yeah, she asked for the death penalty at first. And I have to tell you guys, I think the reason that the jury didn't come back with the death penalty is because they wanted her in prison for the rest of her natural born life. They did not want her to have what she never afforded Travis Alexander, which was to know when you're going to pass away, to know when you're going to be executed, right? And you have time, you know when the end is. So you have time to do, to say the things you want to say, make amends if you want to make amends, all of the things that these people don't afford their victims.
Right.
And I think that when it comes down to it, I think if Lori Vallow were put on death row, to be honest with you, I think she would be somewhat, in her own mind, a martyr.
Yeah, you're right.
If they just put her in GP, that's where she needs to be.
Yep.
That's where she needs to
right.
be.
For the rest of her life, I think that'd be worse than the death penalty anyways. Besides, a lot of death penalty, a lot of times they're in solitary confinement, which I think that'd be misery. But let me ask you something. When I do this, can you hear me? Because I found the text, but I don't know can you hear me like this?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, he says, well, I've had an interesting morning. This is Chad to his wife, Tammy. I've had an interesting morning. I felt I should burn all of the limb debris by the fire pit before it got too soaked by the coming storms. While I did so, I spotted a big raccoon along the fence. I hurried and got my gun, and he was still walking along. I got close enough that one shot did the trick. He is now in our pet cemetery. Fun times.
Why does he text like he's writing a story? Do y'all want to hear what I text to my husband? Let me just tell y'all. Let's pull it up really quick.
He had the punctuation and everything. Every comment, everything.
Hold on, let me find. Where is he? We don't text a ton. All right. He says, I text him, babe, will you get coffee and creamer, please? He responds back with, did they pick up the trash? I said, it hasn't come for anyone yet. He said, okay, I'll let you know. And I said, they got the trash. And he sends me back a smiley face with sunglasses. That emoji. Okay. That's our text. Okay. That's our text. I don't get some, freaking like Reader's Digest level passage when he sends me a text.
He takes himself very seriously as this author,
He does. Listen, if that had happened to my husband, I wouldn't have got it in a text. He would have just called, or he would have told me when he got home. But It's weird. It's still weird. I don't care if he's a writer and an author. He's a douche.
He is a douche.
Yeah, he's not even a good writer and author. I mean, for sake, I could say I'm a writer and author. Descriptions of my videos.
I mean, you are an artist,
I put together the videos, and guess what else I do? Every time I make a video, I write out what I'm going to say. So that's writing and authoring.
Yes, it is. You're pretty clever, actually. Like, think about your little videos, like the dude, the dude that's all stupid. What does he say with the thumbs up, or what does he say?
Oh, Kai. I can't take credit for Kai. Coolest Reviews made that for me, but we've always liked Kai over here at the War. I mean, not what he ended up doing, but the Kai on that day, that was a funny Kai. But yeah. What was I going to say? There was something else I was going to tell you, but now I don't remember. So I better just push play. It'll come back to me.
In that area. And that's what I determined was going to be our pet cemetery area.
Okay. And what did you instruct your team to do at that point?
The photographer continues her entry photos over towards the pond. And these are just entry photos, just over property. And then she continues kind of in a counterclockwise
Nadine, you don't
motion
have to,
around
baby,
the whole
you can
property.
do what you need
Meanwhile,
to do. You don't have to be here
I'm
if you've
conducting a
got too
preliminary
much
survey,
going on. I
trying to
just
assess where
appreciate you
this
coming in and
pet cemetery
supporting.
is, trying to locate that. And then the other team members are coming out. 2 team members are going to the fire pit, making assessments on how we're going to process that. Other team members are doing other roles. Eventually, And when I say team members
Smash,
at this point,
smash,
now we're probably starting to
smash.
incorporate, it's
Yeah.
starting to get beyond
Yeah.
the evidence response team. Now we're starting to incorporate other law enforcement officers from Fremont County Sheriff's Office, from Rexford PD. So now law enforcement officers are starting to make assessments.
Ooh, a
starting
soak
to
in the
look,
tub sounds
inquire around
fun,
the pond
Vicky.
for potential clandestine graves.
Okay, I'm gonna call your attention to the pond. Did you and your team discover anything there in that area?
Yes. So eventually what happens is on the northeast side of this pond, near this tree, a clandestine grave is found.
Your Honor, I'm gonna ask that this exhibit, this is Market States Exhibit 21, be shown to the defense and handed to the witness.
So this is when they find JJ.
Look at you. Just, ugh.
I know.
Exhibit 21 will be handed to the witness.
No malicious.
Agent, do you recognize that exhibit?
Yes, that's what I'm going to refer to as the clandestine grave.
Okay. Have you seen that exhibit before
Yes,
and you're familiar with it?
yes.
Is it a photograph?
It's a photograph that
Did you take that photograph?
I did not.
Did a member of your team take that photograph?
Yes.
And did you
Photog-
incorporate
We
it
got
in
a
your
lot of
report?
ladies in
Yes.
the
And is
tub.
that photograph a true and accurate representation of what you
It's
observed?
the
ground,
reflection
that
of
area?
the court
Yes, it is.
Your
reporter
Honor, the state would move
off
for,
of the
exhibit 21 to
plexiglass
be
that's
entered into
in,
evidence.
up
No
above,
objection, sir.
you know,
Exhibit 21 will
separating
be admitted.
around the witness
Can you
box, I
describe
should
what you
say.
see in that photograph?
So this is what I would call an overall photograph of what this clandestine grave looked like before we touched it or processed it. What I would describe as a raised berm.
I like that he
So it's a little
uses
bit
the word
raised in the center of this
clandestine
photograph.
grave instead
And
of
surrounding this raised berm
secret
is a
grave
thicker
or
vegetation.
hidden
I-
And on this
grave.
raised berm,
I
the
do too.
vegetation is a lot
Careful
thinner
about how
and
he
shorter.
explains things.
And
And
that's,
Yes.
yeah.
that's essentially our grave site, what becomes our
He's
grave
probably
site.
done this a time
What
or two.
eventually we're going to call burial
You're
site
cutting
number
out, babe.
one
What'd you
on a lot of
say?
our paperwork.
I said he's probably done this a time or two.
Oh, probably, yes.
Your Honor, well, what did you instruct your team to do at burial site 1 once that site was located?
So once we established the good possibility that this is a grave site, we moved to process this appropriately. And part of that is one of the first processes we want to do is we obviously took photographs, and then we have some special equipment. We have a Faro scanner, and the Faro scanner is what we used for this scene to take measurements. And then we also have a total station, and we use that to take measurements.
Oh, they
So
did
the way we want
Faro
to process
scan
this
too,
grave
Allie.
site is we want to layer by layer, we want to process this as we excavate down the grave site. And that allows us to kind of tell the story of how these human remains, how they were buried.
Okay.
And that, go ahead.
Did you then excavate that site?
And then we started excavating the site layer by layer.
Okay. You say layer by
Oh,
layer.
you missed the phone
can you
call,
describe
Allie. We
how
got the
that
phone call,
process goes?
you
So
know,
for
between
burial
him
site
and
1,
Lori.
we started by removing
they were
this
out there.
upper vegetation off to get a better picture without the vegetation of what it looked like. And then, I don't know if you want me to keep going, but once we remove the vegetation, you could kind of see that raised berm. And then eventually you could see what looks like stones protruding through the ground.
Your Honor, I'm going to ask that this exhibit, Market States Exhibit 22, be shown to the defense and then handed to the witness.
Okay, so this part real quick, just I remember.
Okay.
So you know how he was buried under
Exhibit
all these
22.
Go ahead, babe. Say it again. Go ahead.
he was buried under these stones. Like some were a specific kind of stone. And I remember when Nor Jasmine was doing her research into it, like there were religious ties back to the stones that they used in his grave and things like that. Like it's there's a story out of the Mormon, like their Bible or whatever, their other book that
The Book of Mormon.
talks, that talks about burying somebody under these specific stones and that kind of thing.
You know, I actually, somewhere in this house, in a box somewhere, I have the Book of Mormon. I should look at that. I should look that stuff up because, well, when those missionaries came out to my house and they talked to me they would come out frequently, and I even went and attended church, but they gave me the Book of Mormon, and I never could, even though it didn't feel right for me, I just never could throw it away because I just felt like on some level that had to be sacrilegious. And let's be honest, I've walked a fine line my whole ass life. I don't need to be taking no chances. So I've never thrown it away. And
You should look at it. I would love to hear.
I will have to. I'll have to go. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, were you? I've learned a lot. See, I'm not knocking anybody's religion. It just this is what the missionaries told me. They said, "Come and visit the church. Come and stay for a service. And if you don't feel right, you don't feel right. If you do, you do." So I went with an open mind, and it just never felt right for me. And so I just said,
It's so interesting because the first time you told me this, I remember I had just talked to TT a couple of days before about my experience with the Jehovah's Witness, which was very similar. They came every week. I went to church with one of them. Like, she was this older lady, but she was my buddy for a while. And eventually, when I didn't join the church, she quit coming. And it also just didn't feel right for me. But I still just wanted to learn about it and know, I just wanted to learn. Like, so it's so interesting because I did the same thing, like became buddies with them, went to church, everything.
I talked to a Jehovah's Witness a little bit too. And this is the interesting thing that I learned from the Jehovah's Witness about this 144,000. The way that she explained it is 144,000 is the number of people that ascend to actual heaven, right? And the rest are going to be on heaven, or will be what is it? Heaven on earth. But she said that the people that will go and ascend to heaven are Jewish. It's the Jewish people that will go up into heaven with God, and the rest of us will be here in heaven on earth. That's what she said. Now, I don't know. I mean,
She told me the same thing, not the Jewish part. She did say that the Jewish people were his chosen people, but like the lady I talked to, she believed that there was, potentially people in her own church that were part of that 144,000. And I asked her, I'm like, well, how do you know if you are? And she's like, you just know, from, she's like, I'm not, so I don't know. I couldn't tell you, but they just know. And I'm like, okay. She said that, yeah, heaven on earth. Earth was going to, like, the rest of the people that go to heaven would stay on earth, and it would become a paradise, like it was intended to be.
Right. And I would say that too, Crystal and Vicky. This is what I'll say. I don't think that the reason that Chad and Lori did what they did has anything to do with any religion, to be quite frank. I think they're just nasty, shitty people, period. They're just, there's evil in the world.
Yep. And they used religion as their cover for their evil, basically.
Now, Mo, if you do decide to join Scientology, I can stop by if you come to Florida and you do the one in downtown Clearwater. I can stop by and wave at you. Now, you're not going to be allowed to talk to me or anything, and but I'll stop by and check on you if you would like. If you decide to do that. All right, here we go.
Will be shown to the witness.
Agent, are you familiar with State's Exhibit 22?
I am.
What is it?
So once we've gone down,
Don't describe what's in it. Just tell us what it is.
it's a photograph that our photographer took.
Okay. And that was part of a photographer on your team, correct?
Correct.
And is this picture incorporated into your report?
It is.
Is it a true and accurate representation of what you saw on the ground that day?
Yes.
I think Lori and Chad is bad people, period.
Can you describe what you see in State's Exhibit 22?
So once we've removed the vegetation layer, and as we're starting to go down through the layers of this grave, it's important to start noting these layers for now starting.
Listen, Mo, could you ask Tom Cruise how come he spent all that money and he's got a tooth in the middle of his face? Just ask him.
How precise or how these stones are laid. And then you're also seeing roots from the surrounding tree that are cut, showing the effort or showing how this was done. So that's what this picture is really showing.
Okay. And once that was found, did you excavate
I don't
further?
mean to pause
Yes, and then so once the pictures, the
Hold on,
photographs,
I'm gonna push pause,
are
babe.
done of this.
All right, what now?
Okay, I don't mean to make you pause again, but this is just
No,
important.
you're fine. No,
Didn't
this is important.
So okay, then blaming Alex. The night that Tylee was buried and burned and everything, Alex was up there for hours and hours. The day that JJ was gone, and Alex was only up there for about like 15 minutes. And the funny thing about it is, he cannot he's explaining the effort that was put into this. They had stones layered upon stones. They had cut the roots of the tree, and he was buried with a lot of effort, much more than 15 minutes.
So this is what I always thought, Allie. This was something that was planned, and that where they ended up being buried was prepared prior to them being buried.
I agree with you. I think so too. But still, do you think that he could put him in there and cover it with the stones and everything within 15 minutes?
I think that the thing that most likely happened was that it was already, I hate saying this, dug or ready.
Right.
And so, yeah, he could be able to do that. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Interesting.
Well, he might have had help. Who all was out there? Where was Chad that day? I know that Lori intentionally distanced herself from this part of it.
Right. But Chad, we don't know. And I think he was there. My theory is that Chad was there waiting and helped Alex to get him quickly covered up, and that way, the ground was back looking normal quickly. And they probably did have it dug already, and they had the stones there, and they were ready.
Right. Plus, this is my thing. The stones doesn't seem like an idea that came from Alex, because remember when we listened on your channel the other day about from his ex-wife. Mm-hmm. And how he was he wasn't all that, he attended church, but he wasn't all that serious all the time about church. And so I feel like the people who were serious about the church were Chad and Lori. And so,
Yes, you're dead right on that. I completely agree. But I don't know.
I think, no, oh my God. Are you kidding me?
What? Oh God.
Right. For reals. Thank you.
That same account was just in my live the other day doing that. And it's troll. I checked it.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Let me push play. It's so stupid. This is not the place for that.
Later. We're talking remove those and then continue down.
What did you find further?
Right, exactly.
And then once these stones are removed, we then come across some thin boards that are underneath this level.
Your Honor, the state's going to ask that this exhibit, marked as State's Exhibit 23, be shown to the defense and handed to the witness.
Exhibit 23 is now being shown to the witness.
Hey, yes, News. Good to see you, babe. You don't want to know, Mo.
What is it?
Type something.
It's another photograph that our photographer
inappropriate and disgusting.
And were you, your photographer took, was this part of your investigation and excavation?
Yes.
And is it incorporated in your report?
It is.
And is it a true and accurate representation of what you saw that day on that site?
They got him.
Yes. Your Honor, the state would move for Exhibit 23 to be entered into evidence.
And there will be no objection to that.
Exhibit 23 will be admitted.
Agency on State's Exhibit 23.
So again, part of that process is those stones. Kind of the next significant item is the boards that were underneath the stone. So again, someone placed the boards over this grave site. And so this is telling that story, the effort somebody went through for some reason to put these boards there. And so that's what we want to capture. So again, photographs, scans are taken, and this is what that next layer or level is. And this is part of that story.
Wow.
Okay. Do you see tree branches?
And I can see.
I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. Do you see tree roots?
Yes, you can see from this photo, you can still see the surrounding area of the grave,
the
textures and the roots.
Of course I care. I need to
after
know what
you-
you're doing all the
Did you
time.
remove those boards
Yes.
and excavate further?
Of course, I
Yes.
care too.
What did you find as you excavated further?
There.
So as we continue to excavate, the next significant piece, one of the next significant thing that starts to be uncovered is a.
Okay, so this is what I think happened, ATS News. Well, this is what I know happened. You see who's on the whose preliminary trial this is. This is Chad's. Chad never had a problem with the cameras ever. It was always Lori. So
Yep.
Ooh, Cajun sausage and bell pepper and onions. We're coming over.
Yum.
So when it came to when Lori got done with her competency camp, and they started having joint, also different judge as well, but when they started having the joint preliminary hearings, Lori's attorney was big bad because they were zooming in on Lori to get her reactions. And then, somebody may or may not have said things like Lori uses hot Cheeto dust for lipstick, which I stand by. And that she uses coffee for eyeliner and mascara, which I also stand by. But that was the big kerfuffle that she didn't. And they also, hey, cement shoes. Sure. She also was upset. Well, her lawyer was upset that that there were mics placed on the tables and that they were not muted when they should be muted. So the only time the mics on the lawyer tables are to be unmuted is during direct or cross-examination, depending on, whose turn it is. But the rest of the time they're supposed to be muted because they have to be able to speak to their client. And I never heard not one single time. And I was listening because I'm nosy as hell. Of course I was listening. They muted that. Everything was just fine. Everything was just fine. Lori's a big crybaby. I mean, she's out here. She's got the whole she looks like the Cowardly Lion from the Wizard of Oz. Put 'em up.
She
with
looks
that hairdo.
But let me ask you, doesn't Chad, before you start real quick, don't they want cameras? Like Chad's side basically said.
Yes.
Thought so.
Yeah. Chad, bring them in. Bring in cameras. I want all the cameras.
Yep.
That doesn't change anything, Chad. Just so you know, you're still POS. We just appreciate the fact that you are okay being streamed as a POS. But thank you for that. You get but you still are awarded no points because you're a toad and a bad person.
Black plastic bag, a portion of a black plastic bag that appears to be like a black garbage bag, possible black garbage bag.
And what did you do once you found that?
Once we saw what appeared to be the black garbage bag, we needed to kind of verify, do we have human remains here? And so it kind of fell upon me to get in there, and I took a razor blade and I made a cut to this.
Oh gosh, hold on. Before we hear this, and this is trigger warning because this is where it's going to get serious. But before we say this, did you guys know that the same actor who played the Cowardly Lion in The Wizard of Oz is Dan's dad on Roseanne?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah.
And did you know
for you?
On this tape, remember that DNA, the evidence that just came back was actually hair found on tape on JJ. So what he's talking about, they did find somebody's hair on the tape. And that's what Chad wants.
Oh, that's what Chad wants tested.
Yep.
Okay. All right, that makes sense. Well, I'd want to test it too.
Prior to making the
mad.
cut on the garbage bag, I got in there with my hands.
Me too.
And I just kind of removed the dirt around the object. And the object was just a, oval shaped object.
Vicky, peel it. It might get overturned. Thank you, Cement Shoes. 14 months.
It just felt like the shape of a skull.
So lucky. There's some really cool people in my chat.
North States Exhibit 24 is shown to the defense and handed to the witness.
He did. I was watching TikTok this morning. I got sucked in for an hour and a half. I was like, oh my God, I got stuff to do.
24.
Yes.
It happened.
What is it?
Yeah.
So that was the black.
Please describe what's in it. Can you just tell us what?
It was the photo.
Okay. And is that a photograph a part of your excavation?
Yes.
With your team? And is that incorporated into your report?
Oh, I
It is.
think
Is it a
I
true
know
and
it's
accurate representation
real makeup,
of what
Brandy,
you
but
saw
I
at
just like to
burial
make
site?
fun of her
It is.
because she's
Your Honor, the state would move for
trash.
Exhibit 24 to be entered into evidence.
And there's no objection, Judge.
Exhibit
And
24 will be admitted.
started, it wasn't. I don't think it
Can
was
you
real.
describe the on State's Exhibit 24?
Say that again?
When
You broke up a little
when
bit.
that first makeup she wore, I don't think it was real makeup. I think it was when she came in with her hair all curled and the really pink lips. I'm pretty sure that was jailhouse makeup. Now she's wearing real makeup, yes, but back then, I wouldn't. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure some of that look, I'm telling you, I did not come with hot Cheeto dust just by a whim. That's what it
Well,
looked like.
right. I do think you're right on that. So back to that first mugshot, her first one, not her first, the day she was arrested, because she's still in her street clothes. Like the next one.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
That was the part of that black plastic that we initially saw. That was what I got, as close as I could inside this burial. And with my hands, I uncovered that dirt that you can see in this photo. And that was what I was scraping off around that oval shape that just felt like a skull. And that was the plastic black bag that was tightly, up against whatever object was inside.
Okay.
And then I took that razor blade, and then even in order to even cut through it, I had to pull that plastic bag off of whatever was inside to make a cut. And then obviously I
wow.
tried to make my cut as gentle as I could, not to disturb any forensic evidence. And once I made the cut through the black plastic bag, a white plastic bag was underneath. And the white plastic bag, appeared to me to be a possible white garbage bag with diamond-shaped
Hey, Wayne.
texture to it.
Welcome in.
And what did you do once you found that?
So when then on the diamond or on the white plastic bag underneath, I pulled that one up and I made a similar cut with the razor blade. And then as I cut through the white plastic, that's when the human hair started on my hands, and that was the point where we determined this is human remains.
Okay. And what did you do after that?
And then after that, the rest of the team continued the excavation of the grave. And then eventually we uncovered the entire body that was wrapped in this
Let me
black
look that up, Mo.
plastic bag with a lot of duct tape, intermingled.
Okay. Once that was, did you remove that black plastic bag and its contents from the ground?
Yeah, once the complete excavation was done, where you could see the human remains wrapped in the black plastic, we can take photographs and scans. The coroner was called in, and a body bag was placed, and then the team removed the body, which was given to the coroner.
Okay. All right. I'd like to call your attention to the area that you've described as the pet cemetery.
Oh, God.
Your Honor, I've asked that State's Exhibit 25 be shown to the defense and handed to the witness.
Oh, poor Kay and Larry.
I know. To have to sit and listen to that.
Exhibit 25 is being shown to the witness.
Agent, do you recognize State's Exhibit 25?
I do.
What is it?
It's a photograph that our photographer took.
Okay, and that was, is that incorporated in your report?
It is.
And is that a true and accurate representation of what you observed in the area you've called the pet cemetery?
It is.
Your Honor, the state would ask that or move for Exhibit 25 to be entered into evidence.
No objection, Judge.
Exhibit 25
Maybe
will
you're
be
right,
admitted.
Mo. Maybe I'm thinking of a different movie. I mean, I see that he's been in The Incredible Shrinking. Ned Beatty is his name, or Beatty.
This is kind of the overall photo of what came to be known for us as the pet cemetery. And in this photo, you can see that statue of the dog. And then right in front of that statue, there was what I would call an area that looked like it was a grave. And then near that,
Well, sorry, y'all. I
grave,
told you wrong.
there was what I would say were maybe two or three, maybe besides that one, maybe two other areas that looked like they could have been. I imagined these graves, since it was a pet cemetery, or we thought pets were buried here based off a text message.
He's from
logically
Deliverance.
figured
That's
there could
what
be
it
animals
is.
here. We did have an anthropologist with us. And when we started our processing
My
of
bad.
this scene, I had a team start processing this scene, and we put the anthropologist with that team so that the anthropologist could help them determine the difference between animal or human bones if they found any.
Okay. And how did you then begin
And he was
processing?
in Superman. I forgot about
So
that.
we
too.
started with just kind of our assessment of possible graves that we could see there. And then
All right.
based off that, I created, an area, kind of a square area, 10 foot by 10 foot around those potential grave sites. And that was what we called our pet cemetery area. And then that was the area we initially started excavating. The team that started processing that, kind of similar to burial site number 1, we removed the vegetation, that first layer, to see what we were dealing with.
You
Can
don't
we
see
any,
that, Corky?
these graves, can we see,
I mean, I know you
get a
see
better
it
picture of them
highlighted,
once that
but in the
vegetation is
chat.
moved. And then we started having them using hand tools, try to figure out if they find animal remains, is what we thought we would find. And they did end up finding 2 sets of animal remains.
Okay.
And that was kind of the first step.
Okay. And then what did you do after that?
After the animal remains were found
Hey, Aries,
and moved to the side, we used a backhoe to come in, and the backhoe then excavated that initial, what I'm estimating to be 10 foot by 10 foot area. And the backhoe went approximately 2 feet down after that in that approximately 10 foot
Maybe
by
it's
10
an
foot area.
accident or
And we also took for
glitch.
this area and all areas, we have measurements, that we shot in. So we know exactly on this property where that area was. So we know this approximately 10 foot by 10 foot area. We know where that is on the property.
Wow.
We know where burial site 1 was on the property. We know where burial site 2 is on the property, eventually when we get there. So the backhoe started excavating this area.
And what happened as the backhoe started? What happened after that?
So once the backhoe had kind of processed this 10 foot by 10 foot area, gone approximately 2 feet down, the backhoe started to expand from the 10 foot by 10 foot area, going a little bit north. And as that backhoe was expanding from our original 10 foot by 10 foot area, the backhoe uncovers 2 potential vertebrae. And we stop and we have our anthropologist make an assessment on those bones. Are they animal? Are they human? Our anthropologist couldn't make the determination with those 2 bones at that time. As I'm standing there waiting for the assessment to be made from the anthropologist, I caught an odor that I can associate with my experience with possibly being decomposing, human remains.
Okay.
And between waiting for the anthropologist to make an assessment that she can't make yet, and then smelling the possible, odor that I'm familiar with of possibly being decomposing flesh, I made the decision, okay, we're going to stop using the tractor. Let's get the tractor out of the way, and then let's have the team focus on hand tools, and let's see what we come up with right here. This is interesting.
So when you recovered the
It just breaks my heart that these 2. Oh, Allie, you cut out, babe. What'd you say, honey?
I'm sorry, my internet is so horrible. But I was saying,
I know mine's messy tonight too. I don't know what the deal is.
At this point, because he finds these vertebrae and he starts to smell the human remains, everything else is done by hand. Basically, they quit using the tractor and they go in by hand. And then the other thing I was going to tell you, I remember now. So that first officer who comes on the stand and was on the stand for forever, and we can go through that one night if you want, but what he's talking about, a lot of it is when JJ first went missing and dealing with Melanie Gibb, and because he's that Rexburg police, so he's talking about, which would still be pretty interesting.
Yeah. Oh, all of it's going to be interesting because, depending on how it goes. And listen, I think the media is going to end up appealing. And I don't know how successful they will be. I'll tell you this. Hold on. My earbuds got all tangled. Hold on. Oh, thank you. I've learned a lot. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Okay. I know that like with the the Wagner trial in Ohio, the media appealed the judge's initial ruling that people who were testifying be allowed to opt out. And they had a couple of choices. They could opt out of being videoed, right? So you could just hear the audio and the camera would pan somewhere else, or they could opt out for both. And Jake Wagner and Angie Wagner both opted out for both. They did not want their audio or their image shown. Hold on, let me take a drink. Mm-hmm.
That sucks. But
Now, these two were testifying against their son. It was Angie's son and their brother, their older brother at that. Okay. So the media, they appealed the decision. And basically they said that the deal was this, look, these guys have copped a plea. They've taken a plea deal. As part of the plea deal, they have to come in and testify. And what's the big deal? Why should they they're not your average witness. And their representatives argued back that I found this to be absolutely ridiculous, that their safety might be in jeopardy because of them, mainly Jake, but everybody had known about this plea deal for like a year or a year and a half before Jake ever took the stand. He's fine. And they were going to keep him in PC anyway because he's got to testify against his dad. So I thought that whole thing was just ridiculous. But I'll say, but that's completely different than what's going on here. I think that there is a very, very good chance that on appeal, this is going to get overturned. And it's going to end up being streamed. I think there's a very, very good chance. A very, very good chance.
Well, good. Maybe I'll rest a little better tonight. Just hopeful that Jen Lou's right and we get to watch this.
Listen, I will hold out hope until the day that the trial starts. And once there's no stream on the day the trial starts, I'll still hold out hope because because the whole thing with the press, with the Wagners, that wasn't an issue. It was really only an issue when Jake and Angela Wagner were testifying. Because, and they argued too, that there were family of the Roden and Hannah Gillies who could not attend court. And they wanted to know what was said in court that day. And it's not that they couldn't attend court for just any old reason. They were sick or disabled in some kind of way. They just couldn't be there, physically couldn't be there.
Right.
But we'll see.
I just Shooting Star.
No, I did not.
Did you? Did you wish on it?
Mm-hmm.
Good girl.
Okay. So you said you moved on to hand tools. Tell us what happened then.
So as the team was excavating this area, just a little bit north, kind of at the right at, I'd say, I'm estimating right now,
How you doing?
on the north side of our 10-foot by 10-foot original pet cemetery area. We eventually, the next significant thing is we hit a bone, sticking out of the ground, and it kind of leads into some flesh. And at the time, our anthropologists still can't make a determination if that's animal or human. And so the team starts trying to excavate whatever this is. Eventually, we're able to excavate.
Do you know the answer to this? Because I don't. Has Lori been charged with Charles Vallow's death?
Yes, she had. Well, yes, they have indicted her, but I kind of don't know what will happen now because of Idaho. But she has been indicted. Only Lori, though.
Well, I'll tell you this: when people commit the crime of murder, and in two different states, they can be and are tried in both states.
Oh.
And Arizona does have the death penalty.
Well, she may end up getting it anyways then because so does that mean after this trial, then would they transfer her to an Arizona prison? Oh my gosh.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep. Arizona will be next. Mm-hmm.
Good.
I mean, technically, Arizona could have been stubborn about it, right? And said, no, we want to try her first because their crime came first. But I think that they negotiated because there's more serious charges, but they're not going to let Lori walk, regardless of, even if she is found guilty on every single count in the Idaho case, they're not going to let her they're going to still prosecute her.
Okay, good. I didn't know about that. I was curious because like after they announced that they were indicting her, then remember that huge document dump? That was from their police, and it was almost as if they were like, I don't know. I was worried that because she's, up at trial here and may get life, I was worried that she wouldn't face that. So
Arizona might seek it, but they might not. And I'll tell you why. Depends on the what happens in Idaho, because yes, they have the death penalty, and I think that her case would be death penalty eligible, but it's very expensive. So if they've already got her for life in Idaho, Arizona might not want to spend the money to get to pay for a death penalty qualified
prosecutor,
court-appointed attorney. Well, all the prosecutors are a death penalty qualified public defender and a death penalty qualified jury. So either, I mean, I'll see. We'll see. We'll find out. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know.
So all the prosecutors can do the death penalty, but then like only specific, because with trials, that's not something I've only followed them when it's a case I've watched super closely. So like this, I've watched every second of this, but I don't know.
I've never heard of a prosecutor having to be death penalty qualified because they all work in the DA's office. So I would imagine some are probably more qualified and better at it than others.
Right.
But
makes sense.
But there are only that you have to be qualified to be a public defender. You have to be able to represent someone who has the death penalty. Hi, Shamina. Yeah, I've never heard about a death penalty. I mean, only a defense attorney.
A few pieces. The major piece ends up being a pelvic piece.
Is that something you recognize as being a pelvic piece?
I'll say possible pelvic piece, but I mean, a pelvic piece is pretty familiar to me. So I would say I could recognize it, but I'll say possible pelvic piece.
And what else did you find that day?
So once that was significant. These pieces at that time was significant. Once the team, recovered those pieces, based on those pieces that were recovered, the anthropologist.
I'm going to stop you right there.
Okay.
Without testifying as to what the anthropologist told you,
okay,
did you ask the anthropologist to make an assessment?
Yes.
And what happened in your search after that?
So that was essentially that was where we stopped processing for the day.
Okay.
So that became we knew at that point we had found human remains. So that was where we stopped processing for the day. That became then burial site number 2. I then made a new perimeter, a new outline of where our new excavation site would be for burial site number 2, based off those remains we just found. And that's all going to be mapped in. So we have the data for this new area. And that's burial site number 2 now. And then that's essentially where we ended for day 1.
Okay.
And then the pieces that were recovered, and those pieces appeared to be burned. Some of them were pink still, so there's a lot of tissue still involved. And then again, it was pieces, so dismembered. And then those pieces were put in a body bag. The coroner was there, sealed up by the coroner, and then removed from the scene. So all human remains from day 1 were taken,
Okay. And to your knowledge, was the scene secured at that point?
Yeah, and then so all general evidence. So besides human remains, which is what we had focused on, there was a lot of other searching going on, taking place. All general evidence from the day.
Oh, hang on.
was
Yes,
sealed up,
Lexi. I'll
documented,
get it for you, babe.
through our paperwork.
Welcome.
And then that was all provided to the Rexford
you got a chance.
department.
And that you didn't
that
talk
was
while you
handed
text
off
while
to
you were
them
driving.
at the
Good
end of day
job.
1.
Here you go, babe.
And then the scene was secured. The local police, Fremont County Sheriff's Office, Rexford Police Department secured the scene overnight. and then ERT
Here's
departed
the link for you.
late in the
Just
afternoon.
absolutely abhorrent people.
Your Honor, I've asked that
Disgusting,
Exhibit marked
foul.
State's Exhibit 26 be shown to the defense and handed to the witness.
It feels like that anyway.
Just straight evil. I don't want to pontificate too much on this because I think we all get it, but it's just how anybody could do this anyways just boggles my mind. But just ugh. And listen, I respect our justice system, and I am all for both Lori and Chad getting a fair trial. I am. And you know why that is? Because I don't want anything turned over on appeal. They're going to appeal anyway, whether they get the death penalty or not. If they're convicted, they're going to appeal. But we don't want them to have any reason to appeal. You know, we do not want them to have a chance at an appeal. Thank you, Lexi. Welcome to the Fall Club. Glad to have you. Welcome to the ward. I need to make a little something. I don't know.
Yeah,
you know, I see all the creators, they have a little video when somebody joins. I need to do a little something. I'll work on that this weekend.
I want to do that too. I was thinking the same thing, like find something funny to go or
something cute, because we need a break in the heavy. This is heavy testimony, you know. Yeah. Heavy when we, you know, once we get to trial, that's when it'll really be really heavy. You like when I pontificate? Oh, thank you, Rachel. Well, I don't understand how a parent could do this to their child. I just don't. I will never understand it. Ever.
Exhibit 26 will be shown to the witness.
Neither, Jim.
And I just feel like there should be extra strict. Hold on,
It's another photograph that our photographer.
I just feel like there should be extra punishment when it's a parent. I don't know.
I agree with you. It's absolutely disgusting. It really is. Because
it's the antithesis of everything that it means to be a parent. You know what I mean? Yep. And we're glad to have you, Lexi. I just will never be able to wrap my mind around it. And I want them to have a fair trial. They are afforded that right, and they are afforded the presumption of innocence. And I get all of that. But I don't know. I just find them so gross.
It is.
And is that a true and accurate representation
of what
you observed at what we call burial site number 2?
Yes, burial site number 2 in the pet cemetery.
Okay. Your Honor, I'd ask that State's Exhibit 26 be entered in evidence.
No objection, Your Honor. Thank you.
Exhibit 26 will be admitted.
And then I'd ask that this exhibit marked as State's Exhibit 27 be shown to the defense and handed to the witness.
I'm not sure that it's good for Larry to be looking at these. I mean, for his own, I know he wants to know, and I feel like he needs to, you know. Like, remember how we talked about this with Gannon when they started talking about the details, and that we should listen to it and make ourselves hear it because that's what Gannon suffered.
Uh-huh.
I just don't know how. I just feel awful for Larry. I do. And I feel awful for Kate, but she's clearly avoiding trying to look at those photographs. Anytime they put photographs up at all, or, you know, there's photographs he's trying to see, and she's absolutely avoiding them. And I just, it just breaks my heart for them.
When they were found, I vividly remember Larry going down to Chad's property because the news was down there, and there was a lot of people like leaving stuff on the fence. And I remember he was like, I had to come see where he was all this time. I needed to see it. Like he feels like, yeah. So,
he needs it for his closure. Just breaks my heart. Just breaks my heart, because if she didn't want them, why didn't she just give JJ to Kay and Larry? They wanted him.
I know, and would have been.
And they said that they would. And they said they would have. And they said, you know what? We'll take Tylee too. We'll get her. You know, she's going to go to college and all the things.
Yep.
And they would have been just. You know, they would have been so happy to do that. Why, Lori? You know, and that's the other thing. Now, again, I have to say this because obviously, you know, she does have the presumption of innocence. Okay. But at the same time, I also happen to personally believe that part of Lori's personality is that I think she derives pleasure in getting over on people. And I think that one thing that would be, she reminds me of Chris Watts in a lot of ways, because the whole reason that Chris avoided that trial, it wasn't selfless. It was completely selfish. He didn't want people to know just exactly what kind of monster he is. And so I feel like Lori not wanting the cameras in there is more about that than anything else. She doesn't want people to know exactly what kind of monster she is. She thinks that right now, because she's not been convicted of anything, she could be able to convince a handful of people, right, that she's not this monster. But I think once the trial is underway and the details start to come out and the dots are connected, that there won't be a doubt. And her leverage over other human beings will be gone.
Yeah.
And I just think it's just disgusting.
I agree, she is. And then Lexi Texie, I gotta read this to you. She said that comment. Brother's name is Chad, wife Lori, son Alex. Oh my
yikes.
goodness,
Yikes on the bikes. She's just not a good person. Like if you just
Exhibit 27.
I do.
What is it?
That shows burial site number 2, and those are the stakes that I put up to mark the perimeter of burial site number 2 once we had identified the human remains.
Okay. Is that a true and accurate representation of what you observed at burial site number 2?
Yes.
You know, I'd move for State's Exhibit 27 to be entered into evidence.
No objection, Judge.
Exhibit 27 will be admitted.
Oh, stop
You
it,
talked
Charlie. I'm
about,
blocking
correct
you
me if I'm
now.
wrong, Steve, how you started excavating, or at some point you were excavating burial site number 2 with the backhoe, correct?
Correct.
And then you expanded your search northward.
Correct.
In State's Exhibit 27, could you compare that with State's 26? Is that spot in 27, is that northward of where you originally started excavating the site with the backhoe?
It's kind of right on that border.
Okay.
And so it's kind of hard to tell without looking at the final data from our Faro scanner and our total station. It's kind of hard for me from these photos to say if they overlap or not. So we kind of need to wait till we see that final data.
Okay. Exhibit 27, is that the area where you discovered the bones that you talked about on day 1?
Yes, okay. The bones that were eventually for burial site number 2.
Okay. Now, yes, thank you for burial site number 2. Thank you. And did you resume your search or your excavation on June 10th?
Yes. So June 10th, in the morning, we arrived back on scene, and we would have started a similar process: crime scene sign-in log, entry photos again to show how that scene is at that time. I would have started another, for the team leader, I would have started another admin log that I would have filled out, and then another preliminary survey. And then our primary, we had a lot of objectives, but the primary objectives were obviously to finish the excavation of burial site number 2. And I think we were still finishing the processing of the fire pit area. And we haven't really talked about that, but finishing the fire pit area.
Okay. Can you tell the court what you found on day 2 at burial site number 2?
So burial site number 2 was a little bit more complex for us, I think, but it was the same process. There's a story to be told here at this grave. So we want to do the same thing, layer by layer, noting any significance. The difficulty, I think, for us for this one was the way these human remains were found. So it was kind of this, for lack of a better term, it was kind of a mass of dismembered human remains. Burnt, partially burnt. And so we did the best we could. It was kind of hard to recognize, like, what are we looking at here initially? You know, what is this? We know there's tissue here, there's organic matter here, and we just couldn't recognize what we were dealing with. But layer by layer, we ended up just excavating all around this mass of human remains.
Oh my gosh.
And we ended up excavating all the way around
I've
it.
forgotten some of
And at the
these
very bottom
details.
of this mass, we find, this melted green bucket. And then to the bottom, the side of that green bucket, we eventually find a skull. And then to the side of that skull, we find a mandible with some teeth. Those are the significant things that you could finally
You're
see
welcome,
and
Benjamin.
recognize out of this mass. And so we did the team did the best they could to kind of excavate around this and kind of tell that story. And again, we'd
You know
stop every
what? I
so
was
often,
just
take
thinking
photos,
about this
take
too now
scans,
that you
and
say that.
document that excavation process.
That's a really good point, Ruby. One that I thought about, and then that's probably the thing I was going to say and then forgot about it. So the other thing is that a lot of death penalty cases are overturned due to mental health. The Supreme Court has ruled that it is unconstitutional to put somebody with, now not all mental health, but like see, Lori had a problem in the beginning when she was declared incompetent to stand trial, which that's not like she's insane or anything like that or crazy. Basically, you only really need to have 4 elements to be declared competent. All right. You've got to know what your charges are. You've got to know what a courtroom is. Like, that that's the judge, that's, all that. Have to know how to behave in a courtroom, right? And you have to be able to assist in your own defense. Now, this is where I think Lori malingered likely and could not, they were waiting. Okay. Probably in the element of A, understanding the charges, and B, because if you can't understand your charges, then you can't assist in your own defense. And that's what I think that she was doing, honestly. But I know that I've watched, or I can't say watched, but they've been broadcasting after the fact, the hearings, right, that have come up lately. And what I can tell you is there's been a lot of talk from Lori's side about Lori's mental health, and they're not going to be bringing it in during the actual trial, but as a mitigating factor potentially for sentencing. Okay.
Yeah.
So correct. So if it ever comes out that somewhere along the way that Lori wasn't competent during any part of her trial because of some mental health issue, like, DID, or she's schizophrenic, something that would make it difficult for her to understand what's going on and therefore make decisions, because the attorneys can advise her. Ultimately, the decision is made by Lori. So we don't want any of that to happen. So it's better, yeah, she's a fake kookaloo.
It's quite confusing because they tell you, you can't, insanity defense is not a defense in Idaho. You can't bring your mental health into it, but then in the penalty phase, they can. It's confusing.
So what they do is they'll get up in front of, so let's say she's found guilty. Okay. They use mental health as what they call a mitigating factor. So, which I don't even know. I keep meaning to do this and I keep forgetting, but I need to look up this, the penalties for what she's charged with. Right. So the worst case scenario is life without the possibility of parole. That's the longest, harshest sentence that Lori Vallow is facing. But she's faking. But at the end of the day, the judge is the one, I believe, who has to, I have to look this up, so don't quote me. that the judge can have discretion over sentencing, and
Okay.
he can offer her, something. I don't know though. I have to look it up because I can't understand if they're not doing a death penalty case, and if the statute is that if she's found guilty of the specific charge, that it's mandatory life without the possibility of parole. If it's mandatory life without the possibility of parole, then there's no need for a mitigating circumstance. It's sentencing. However, I need to look and see, understand exactly what's going on there, because I don't know if they've also will have some variations that she could be charged with rather than straight first degree murder. Could they find her guilty of lesser
Right.
degrees? And
We
if
should,
that's the case, we need to look into that.
yeah, we should find a case that's like some other cases that have been tried in Idaho and just kind of watch how the death penalty and not, but murder cases, and see kind of how that works. That'd be a
We
good
do
way.
need to do that. Put that in our to-do list, Ellie.
Okay.
Put that in the to-do file.
Okay. Got it.
We do need to do that because, look, this is not the only trial in Idaho that's
Mm-hmm.
coming up. We've got Lori and Chad, but we also have, Koberger,
Mhm.
and
Michael Vaughn, because Stacy Wander was
yes,
found competent today. They released that.
there you go. So we've got a couple of, and Idaho does things just a little bit different, and so maybe, Allie, can you answer this? I can't highlight it because it has the K word in it, and you know how YouTube is. How long before they unalive the kids, before or after marriage? Like, what was that? Like, what
Okay,
was the
so
timeline there? I
Charles
can never
passed.
remember.
Charles passed July 11th. They got married after because Tammy. They got
Oh,
married after.
that's right.
Yeah, so they JJ was end of September, Tylee was the beginning. So wait, Charles was the middle of July. Then we have September, we have first Tylee, then end of September JJ. Then in Tammy passes away in October. I think they got married the beginning of November, but it might have been the end of October, but right in there sometime.
So it's interesting that technically when the crimes, the biggest crimes were committed, right? The most serious crimes were committed. They weren't married, which is interesting to me because now I wonder how that's going to play. See, you cannot compel, and I don't know how it is in Idaho. I know Texas is like this. You can't compel a spouse to testify another spouse. In other words, you can't force it. But a spouse can still testify against their spouse if they want to, but it has to be their choice.
Okay.
So I'm very, yeah.
And now what if they weren't married when it happened, but they got married before trial?
That is a sticky thing, and I'm not exactly sure how that works. I'm curious about that. Very, very curious about that.
Too.
Okay. Put that in our to-do file. We have a whole pile of to-do. We have a whole file going on of things. So, but I think it'd be good for us to understand the way that the court works in Idaho because it is a little bit different.
I agree.
Remember when everything came out with Koberger with the discovery, and his defense was asking for any statements made by a co-defendant, and everybody's like, "Is there a co-defendant?" And I said, "Well," so I hit the Googles and I looked up the rules of discovery in Idaho, and if she had not asked for those potential statements right at the beginning, then they would not have been, then they wouldn't have gotten them.
Right. That's smart to look up. And yeah, we definitely need to watch old trials, or at least one or two that we can find, and try to watch how it kind of, because anyways, that's always how a lot of times the law works. It's based off of precedent, what happened before in a case like this or that kind of thing. Oftentimes that's what, decides a motion or whatever argument.
I have to look this up for you guys, Emily, and I will. because I want to make sure I'm explaining this correctly, because
I know they got first degree murder, and then there's something about like the I don't know. There are other charges.
I'm sure that there's abuse of a corpse. I'm sure that there's all kinds of, but that's not what I'm talking. I'm talking about, and I think this, just let me stop because I need to look into this a little bit better, more, and understand it better so that then I can explain it. Because
Okay.
if I don't understand it, I can't explain it.
Just like we did at the burial site 1, layer by layer.
We're going to finish
And then
listening to
eventually
the rest of this.
It came to the
think
decision point of, okay,
the
now we need to
direct
try
exam,
to
and
lift
then
these
I'm going to
remains
let
out
Allie
of burial
go
site
because
2.
it's late
What
for
happened
her.
when you tried to do that?
So when the team tried to lift the remains, this mass out of burial site 2, it fell apart.
You're okay?
So what
Yeah,
ends up happening is just
okay.
a removal of pieces into the coroner's body bag. And then once we get the pieces into the body bag, our anthropologist and the coroner essentially do, as best they can, an inventory of what pieces we have, so that I know, as a team leader, how much more do we need to look for in this grave?
Can you imagine?
Because I don't want to
that?
leave at the end of the day with
Hey,
only
I've
partial
learned a
remains,
lot.
and there's something else in there. And so
Your
even
membership
after these,
finally worked.
the bigger parts of the mass and pieces are removed,
Only
the
makes me
team
him
need
more.
to
Though. He seems so
continue,
careful and cautious.
Yes.
digging out this grave, going further than what the pieces we saw were, sifting, and the sifting operation, we didn't talk about that. The sifting operation happened in burial 1 also. A sifting operation continues in burial site number 2, and we're looking for any other pieces of evidence. We're looking for small pieces of bone, small teeth. So we continue those operations until we think we've got all the human remains. So we can give the,
Mo, I guess
get
that
everything out of there.
depends on who you
And then
ask.
one thing that we also did was, even once we finished that process,
Because
we
if
used
you
the
ask
backhoe
Chad
to
Daybell's
go even
kids,
deeper. And
they say he's completely innocent. I'll say this. I think the trial is, for me, and I'm going to have to be really careful how I cover this trial, because we do not need a repeat of the Murdoch trial for Jen Liu. I was too invested, I think. And I knew too much. And so I knew when the defense was just, I'm better. I need to be better at being fairer.
It's hard. It's really hard to follow the case, and the details of it, to do this innocent until proven guilty. That's in a courtroom, but at the end of the day, for us, that's not for us.
Right. I'm not subject to any of that.
Yeah.
For me personally, Mo, what I would hope to gain out of this trial, just knowledge wise, is I'd like to know each person's level of culpability, what they did, when they did it, how, because I think that Lori was everybody wants to, not everybody, a lot of people think that it's Chad that was moving everybody around. And I don't think so. I think it was Lori. I think that Lori is just the most devious kind of manipulator who is manipulating a person, but they believe it's their idea. They're in control, when really Lori is the one calling the shots. And I really do really think that that's exactly what happened here. And, but I want to know all the things. I want to know who did what and when they did it. And I want to know who knew what and when they knew it. Who was present and all that stuff. That's what I want to know. All the dots connected.
We know that he is the one who sent the scale to Lori, telling her who, Ty Lee was very dark on there.
Yes.
And we know that he was the one closer to the veil. So he's the one getting the information from God and, the other side. But I agree with you. I think that she is so manipulative that she makes you think you're in charge. But I think he was in charge in ways, but I think that she was as well. I think that she, she has a history before Chad of being evil,
A Black Widow. That's what she is, frankly.
Yep. And so I do think that he he was manipulative too in ways, because we know that he was the one who was getting some of these messages, and I think he used that for his own perverted fantasies with Lori.
Agreed. And I will say this as well. I think one of the most troubling parts of this to me is that if Chad is the one who is in charge of the light to dark scale, he's the one that made up and determined, he made the scale and then determined where different people were on the scale, right? It would be problematic for me because that's not all that far-fetched. I mean, it's really, we do talk about people all the time, criminals, and their level of evil, frankly. So this is not a far-fetched concept. My problem is that how do you not take a step back and be like, excuse me, how come my kids are the ones on the high end of the dark scale? You got kids. How come it's my kids? That would be my thing.
Yes. I've heard that so many times. People are like, why was Lori not like, but your kids are okay. Your kids are not zombies. Your kids are not getting in the way of our dream, or, being the two who run the 144,000 and basically, run the world.
Yes.
So I don't know.
Right. How come it's my kids that are the heathens? And see, this is actually sort of interesting because in that way, they're not all that different from blended families. You hear it all the time where step parents don't get along with their stepchildren, and it causes friction in the household and friction between the couple because the stepdad thinks that the mom's kids are rotten, and the stepmom thinks that her husband, their kid, you know what I'm saying? It's not that big, it's not that deep, but it usually doesn't result in this kind of crap. Usually it results in people splitting up.
That's a good point. You even have the women who think their kids are, or the men too, that think their kids are good, and your kids are bad or whatever.
Exactly. Now listen, I know that my children, they're my children, okay? And they're like any other human on this earth, all right? They've done some, but generally speaking, they're very good people. Their hearts are always in the right place, okay? Now they put me through a rash of shit, I'm gonna lie, but still, they're good kids, okay? They're not disrespectful. They're not knocking off liquor stores or anything like that, right? If somebody came to me and said that they were evil and they needed to be destroyed, we would have problems. There is no way that anybody could convince me of this, especially if they're analyzing if we're a couple and my kids are the heathens, the only heathens. I will agree. I'm a heathen. Sometimes my kids are heathens sometimes, but generally speaking, we're good people, right?
Yeah.
But you can't tell me that your kids are, no, that's not how, that I would be questioning. This is why Jen Lou is not cult material at all. I would not make it past the first hour of cult boot camp. I would not. I'd be kicked right out because I asked way too many questions. Wait.
Wait, I'm supposed to be going where with who?
Right.
And
let me get this straight. So none of us can have any earthly possessions because they're evil, but you can.
Yeah,
You're going to take all the evil. Oh, okay. I'm out. I wouldn't make it. I'm not cult material at all. Not at all.
It's crazy, but like they like if you hear from like their friends, like they almost worshiped them, like Melanie, Alex, this little group. They believed Chad and Lori had the answers to everything. What is wrong with these people? You know what I mean?
I would not think that Chad and Lori had the answers to the recipe for fucking chocolate chip cookies,
I know.
let alone life.
No doubt. And Melanie Gibb, oh my God, she drives me crazy.
Yes. Let's talk about her for a minute. In fact, let me stop sharing this one because I did say we were going to talk about this tonight. Remember, and we forgot to play it the last time. Let's play that call.
Oh, okay.
Now, y'all need to brace yourselves for this one.
I had a thought about Melanie, but it left my freaking head for a second. I hate when that happens. Damn. Well, hopefully it comes back. But in my opinion, she was poisoned.
Yes.
So they said that they have text messages that prove that Lori was part of Tammy's death.
Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that interesting? Because she's so, yeah.
Oh, I remembered what I was going to say about Melanie.
Okay, tell me.
In the call too. And
Yes.
This call is disgusting. And this is what I was going to say. So you think about Tally, she was dismembered and burned. And, then I think that they assumed that it would be quicker to burn someone than it was and just buried what was left or whatever. But so that to me feels like what you do to somebody that you have like pure hatred for. And
disdain that you just don't even, yes, exactly.
And Melanie talks about Tally as if she hates her, like her attitude, the way that both of the kids actually in this call, it's sick, but she says that even if you hear Pryor, remember on the stand, he's like,
yes,
asking questions about it. They didn't get along. So I don't know. It's weird that they could convince not only each other that the kids are evil, but also these other people.
I agree with you.
It's weird.
Okay. So, Shmita, now we've talked about this. I'm not even going to get into it. Look what Shmita wrote.
It's Jesus' zombie. You said we've talked about this. Y'all had this discussion.
Well, I mean, he rose from the dead. What does that make him? I know it's a miracle, and these are things that I question. I understand, and I'm not making light of it or anything like that. It's just that there is a part of me that can get real deep and spiritual, and I understand that there's a lot of stuff that happens in this world that we don't understand. We really aren't meant to understand. That's what faith is, and I get it. But then there's that other dry sense of humor part of me that will say stuff like that. Okay. I mean, it's true. It's just welcome to my brain. It's a very messy in there, and it's hard for me all the time. Okay.
Well, you know what though? I don't know. I think that just helps because that stuff is hard to digest. It's scary,
Yeah.
It's scary. And there's so much that we don't understand. And like you said, we're not meant to, but that's scary to people.
Yes. And see, this is what scares me about it. I'll tell you, faith is a scary thing for me because so many people, humans, have taken it and twisted it and corrupted it. And a lot of really horrible atrocities have been committed on faith.
Yep.
And that's what scares me. So I think that every so often questioning shit, look, I don't think that is, I'm sure it's going to be on the list of things I'm going to have to answer for, but I feel like you guys, for reals, it's on the way bottom. I feel like the main thing is going to be the premarital sex. I'm telling you right now, that's probably the biggest sin. And having kids out of wedlock too. Not once, not twice, not 3 times, 4 times. That's probably going to be a problem. But I've never stolen anything, and I've never unalived anybody. So,
well, I'm so sure. But I have your answer. It's not just faith. To me, the where the evil comes and the corruption comes in is the organized religion. And then you have the money that gets involved with that. Because I believe in God. I know that there's more out here than us, and I believe I do. But also, I believe that humans are evil. And when you now, I think that you can find these little churches that have preachers that mean well, absolutely. But once you get into these bigger churches, the mega churches, the televangelists, like there's a lot of corruption that comes along with the money,
The love of money is the root of all evil.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, I'm going to play this, okay? But in order for me to play this, I need a cigarette. So I'm just going to let it go for a little bit, you guys. I put the this is from True Crime Underground. I put the link to the actual call in the chat. On later on, I'll add it to the description. But let me go ahead. We want to make sure that Miss Gibb gets. We know all the things that Melanie Shebangs Gibb has to say. We don't want to miss a single word. So,
nope. Okay.
All right, here we go. I'm going for a smoke. I'll be right back.
Okay. It takes months and months and months for them to figure out how to come up with a plan, basically. And I guess it comes down to it. It's frustrated him to every level. She's left. She says she puts it in her mind like, oh, look how he's behaving. He's so different now. He's this and that and this and that. Well, Charles is upset because she just tried to destroy his life. She told him he was out of town when she found out, and he was in another state. And when she flew back home, she took his truck and hid it, took all the keys and took them from him, took all his clothes in the house. I mean, trying to destroy his work, his life.
Goodness.
And I was like, hey, do you think that's a bit extreme? Like, are you sure you're supposed to do that? She goes, Melanie, the spirit's telling me exactly what I'm supposed to do. And I'm like, oh, okay, what can I say, And so anyway, she tells him, which is stupid. She says, I'm going to destroy you. She's like, you are not Charles anymore. You are Ned. I forgot his last name. Snyder. You're Ned Snyder. And you're not going to, you are, I am, she told him, I think she told him prior to this, but she was translated. She was married to Moroni before.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, she's already telling him this stuff, which is not smart.
My goodness.
And yeah, not smart. She should have kept that information to herself. So he gets me to come over to his house. He breaks into the house and she's picking up the kids. He's still he gets a lot of drama in that. But anyway, he says to me, and I thought it was Lori, but he had her cell phone, so he was trying to get me to come over. She's like, so it freaks me out. And I get there and it's him, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So I talked to him, and he's like, Melanie, Lori's crazy. Like, she thinks that I'm this guy named Ned, and that she's trying to destroy my life. And I'm like, I just don't know what to say.
Oh my goodness.
Just like freaking out. Yeah, because I think my friends are good. She's seen Jesus. I'm really believing that she really saw these things,
Right.
And I'm just gullible as gullible gets. And she stuck on me like Velcro. She was such a good friend to me. You know what I mean? Like, she was close to me.
Right.
And so I just stood there and didn't know what to say to him. And then he hugged me and he was crying. And I was like, I look back now and go, oh my gosh. Anyway, so basically she sets it up where he sets it up. He's going to come into town, when he passes away. And they have a shoot down, and he dies. And out of self-defense, but the police officer told me that it was not the guy that Alex that shot him, he didn't even really get hit that hard in the head. So, and Alex, bless his heart, who passed away, he just thought he was doing a favor to his sister. He didn't really care so much, about Charles or this or that, but he just thought he was helping her.
Did she ask him to kill him?
Well, to self-defense, yes. Well, because they planned it. I mean, so she knew that Charles was coming to town. And then she invited Alex over that night to spend the night to protect her. She said they're going to kill her. She told me they're going to come and try to kill her.
Oh my goodness.
I said, well, why are they we're going to try to kill you? And she says, well, because I have a $3 million policy on my head, and my brother and my husband and my nephew are all zombies now, and they all want me dead.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, it gets crazy. So anyway, they have the shoot down and everything. And she grabs his phone and they fight over that. And then Tylee, her daughter, picks up the bat and tries to defend herself or hit him or whatever. She doesn't like him anyway, and she doesn't like anybody. And so anyway, they shoot him. And so I talked to the police officer. He goes, she was really happy for somebody that just had her husband shot dead. She was like, oh, how are you? She's real positive and upbeat. And I was like, oh, that's not normal behavior to somebody that gets blown away in your front room.
Yeah, exactly.
And I mean, that would traumatize me. But anyway, so she's told to move up to Rexburg. The Lord tells her, move up to Rexburg now. She takes Tylee and JJ with her. Tylee and JJ are up there. I know she's up there with both of them because I can hear them on the phone in the background while she's packing and moving in. And then she tells me, I don't know, within a week or two, that Tylee is now at BYU. She's up there at school. Oh. So I go up to visit her, and I see that Tylee is not there. And I said, hey, Tylee's, I mentioned again, like, Tylee went to BYU. And she goes, yeah, but she gave me this really creepy look.
Oh.
Yeah, it was creepy. It was like, yes, she's dead, really, and that kind of look.
Yeah.
Almost that kind of look. But then I didn't know what to think about it at the time. I was like, why do I feel creepy when she looks at me like that?
Yeah.
And so anyway, then she tells me, I get there in September 23rd weekend, and JJ's missing. No, JJ's not missing. Sorry, JJ's there, and she tells me he's a zombie now.
Oh my goodness.
And so was Tylee.
Oh no.
So people that are zombies, they don't end up staying alive, but she probably seen the pattern
Right.
here. And so anyway, so I say, okay, she says, I'm just going to give him back to Kay, the grandmother. And I said, well, that sounds like a good idea. Then you guys can move on with your missions. Just, just tell her to take Kay. You think she'll take JJ? I mean, he's a lot of work. Do you think she'll take, no, yeah, I'm hoping so. I'll just have to make something up. I said, well, tell her you're sick or something and that you just have some illness and that you're not able to watch after him. So, she said, hey, he's a handful. And so, and plus it's not her kid anyway, right? And so.
It's not her kid because she adopted him, right?
Right, she adopted him from Kay's family.
Plus,
Oh,
it's not
she did.
her kid anyway,
Yeah,
right?
as a baby. She had him as a baby. Yeah, he was a drug baby, and so they adopted him as a baby. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And she was a really good mom to him. She was really patient with him and very loving.
Okay, I'm on. What is this? How far into this are we? 6 minutes and 6 seconds in, and I'm already over Melanie because you see how now. To be fair, let me say this. I have. Oh, excuse me. I didn't mean to burp in you guys. This came out of nowhere. Pardon me. So rude. Anyway, you see how free flowing her story is. How she remembers some details here. And she's not struggling, and it's not taking her 7 years to remember. Oh, gee, what month was that? Let me think. None of that is happening here. I do have her turned up to 1.25. That's not that much, to be fair. It's really not that much. She's a fast talker anyway. But the fact that she's able to rattle off this entire story and all of these details within 6 minutes, and I don't know how she's not been. She has got. There is a deal somewhere. There has to be.
Agree. I completely agree. I believe there was a deal. And yeah, she calls JJ a drug baby. And did you notice she said that she told Lori in this story? She says, I gave Lori the idea. Tell him you're sick or you have some kind of illness or something. But then she tells the police that Lori told her that she gave him to him because she was sick.
Exactly.
I believe she's got a deal.
This, and I'm going to tell you this right now. Both trials, if Melanie testifies in both trials, which she will, now she has to testify twice. Melanie. When that happens, I can promise you that the defense is going to play this call. This is going to be used to impeach Melanie Gibb on some level.
I hope so. They should play it because
they should play it.
Yeah, she deserves to be on blast too.
She sure does.
She's very loving to him.
Wow.
And she was hands down. She was a great mom, very patient with that kid.
Wow.
And so anyway, so she told me, she's like, yeah, JJ is at grandma's house. She went. So after I left, and I told JJ right before I left, and she said within a week or so, that he had gone to Kay's house, and that that's where he was. So then Tammy dies, and then she's in Hawaii when it happens, and I call her in Hawaii, and I said, hey, guess what? Tammy just died. Do you know this? And she goes, no, I haven't heard it yet. And then I said, well, what happened? What happened to Tammy? And she goes, well, she was a zombie 2 weeks before she died. I was like, really? She goes, yeah, she was starting to question our relationship. She was wondering if he was having an affair. I said, oh. And so, I said, well, how did she die? She goes, well, we just had to do what we could to take her out of her spirit. Something like that.
Hey, butterfly kisses. Good to see you.
Okay. I'm thinking she said a prayer and her spirit went home. That's what I'm thinking, right? And so, maybe she did some kind of, blessing or something, like people can do that, I guess. I don't know. And so anyway, then this is where it all changes for me.
Oh, this is where it changes.
Try not to react.
Okay. Okay, no, it's okay.
Put your seatbelt on.
Okay.
And so then I get a call from Chad 2 days before Thanksgiving. Hey, Melanie, Rexburg Police is going to call you. Don't answer. And I went, what? And my stomach just dropped,
Oh, man.
Lies.
And I said, what happened? Well, the police are over at JJ, at Lori's house, and they're looking for JJ. And she told them that JJ was with you. And I went, what?
Oh, no.
And I'm like, well, I thought JJ was at grandma's house. He's not there, is he? And he's like, no, he's not. I'm like, what? And I don't know. Honestly, I did not know what to think at this time. I was so shocked.
Mm.
And just my whole spirit was like, what happened? I was freaking out inside. And then I get a phone call from the police. Of course,
Okay. I have to stop right there. We have to pause for commentary at the end of the day. Bottom line is this. This is a lie. Lies on lies on lies on lies.
Yeah, you can tell. She sounds like she's lying.
Yes.
I was freaking out inside, but she says it's so calm. Like, yeah, I was freaking out inside. It was
It was just crazy. Like, we're more passionate about it, and we weren't even there. Look, the truth of the matter is, ma'am, Melanie, yeah, he did make that call. You're telling the truth there, but you're not telling the whole story, which is that you agreed and you did lie. And then I'm sure you repeated your lie to your boyfriend, and your boyfriend was like, you can't be lying to the popo. They're looking for these kids. That's what changed your mind, not your own conscience, your boyfriend.
agreed.
And then Lori calls me and she's like, oh, no, every time I just want to play with you and that you're going to take him down to Arizona. And I'm like, why? Like, what happened? And she's like, well, JJ was, we thought that JJ was going to get kidnapped by Kay, and so we're protecting him, and which is a lie, and which I believe is a lie personally.
Right.
And I'm like, okay. And she's like, well, I got to go. And I just didn't know what to say. I was just so dumbfounded by it all. And anyway, so I go down to Arizona, and her brother's down there, just down the street from me, because he's marrying my friend who's in my ward. Her name's Sulema. And so I said, hey, are you around? And so anyway, I said, hey, let's meet. We need to talk. So I said, hey, Alex, I said, do I want to know what happened to JJ? And he says, no, you don't want to know. I went, what?
Oh my goodness.
And she goes, I told Lori she should have never got you involved in this. I'm like, yeah, she should have never got me involved. That was not smart. And then he said, yeah, the police ransacked my house, took my guns. And I'm like, I wonder why they did that. I couldn't figure that out at the time. And
I got to stop again because I just noticed something.
For them, that now the cops are zombies, that
Oh
kind
my
of stuff.
goodness.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, indeed. I don't know. I can't remember who she's talking to, but oh my goodness, indeed. Do you see how she's talking to Alex, not Zulema, but she continues to mix up the pronouns. She, he, she, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, I didn't notice that.
She continues to say she, not he. A couple of times she's caught herself, and she'll say she and then he. But the majority of the time she continues to say and she and she and she.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway,
this is why I'd be watching the closed captioning.
And then so anyway, one of my friends, he was with me. He goes home and he calls me up, and I'm like, he's like, Melanie, I'm really worried about your testimony. I'm like, what? Why are you worried about my testimony?
What?
And I'm like, okay, I need you to be a friend. Let's talk. I said, okay, I'm not sure how I'm feeling about the zombie thing. What do you think? And he knew what was going on and stuff. And I said, I don't have a testimony.
Oh, thank you, Purple People Eater.
About all this stuff. And he goes, oh my gosh, me too.
Me too.
I just never have a testimony, Chad and Lori. And so all of a sudden, this heaviness that was on him was leaving him. Just the heaviness of he'd been trying to pray about if they were really who they were.
Yep.
And he was not getting an answer about it. And anyway, the heaviness leaves him. And it's David Warwick. You know who he is, right?
Yeah, your boyfriend.
He was the guy speaking at Dreams and Visions when you were watching. Didn't you watch the
I
recording?
did, yeah.
Yeah, he was the one that was speaking, the guy with the brown hair.
Okay.
And he's speaking about his visions. Anyway,
Yeah.
him and I are dating. But
Oh my gosh.
yeah, he's such a sweetheart.
Oh, good.
You'd really like him. But anyway, he's been questioning all of this because he's really had amazing visions, and he's like, this is really not comfortable for me, Melanie. Like, this is really jacked up. And anyway, we talked till 5 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
David, only one with any.
Jesus, and I was feeling the stomach, that deep pit stomach feeling you get when things are wrong.
Yep.
I was feeling it. Gut instinct was going, something's wrong. So I call Sulema, and I'm like, hey, Sulema, like, what did Alex say? I'm getting a bad feeling. I'm not sure what to think about this. And she goes, well, I don't. She just told me what her testimony was of Chad and how he gave her a blessing, made her also part of the 144,000, and said she was translated too, and then said she basically started having visions after this. Okay.
Yeah.
So she had a testimony of Chad that he was real visionary. And so, anyway, so I said, well, what did Alex tell you? What happened? And she said, well, all he said to me was, you don't want to know. No. He said, they won't be able to be found. He won't be able to be found.
Oh,
I'm like,
goodness.
that? I said, you know what? I'm not really feeling good about this, Selena. And she had just married him. And because, that Chad and Laura were like, get married, hurry, you're part of 145,000, you need to get married. My brother Alex, you need to marry him. And so they got married quickly. And so, anyway, it was not good. And so I said, I'm going to have to call the police. I'm feeling really bad about this,
Right.
And my gut is screaming at me. I don't think Heavenly Father's pleased with me right now.
Okay, first of all, Melanie, you're feeling really heavy, and you didn't, whatever. This is lies, because you covered for them. So where in your story does that come out? Oh, it's not convenient. See, this is why I don't have patience for Melanie or any of her shenanigans or any of the things that she says, because she does this kind of crap.
Right.
And so
Messed up.
they
She goes right along with it, and then now acts like it was such a problem.
Exactly, and acts like this. You know what? She's that person that we all have the friend group, right? I'll put her to one point. I'll put her on regular. She is a fast talker though. That's why I have the closed captions on. But anyway, the deal with her is she's like, we all have that person in the friend group, right? When we were kids, who usually was the idea person, but then when shit hit the fan, all of a sudden they didn't want to be there, and they acted like, they got dragged and it was really their idea, and we're all looking at them. That's Melanie. That's Melanie.
Usually the idea person until shit hits the fan, and then
correct.
They're like, why did we do this? Why did y'all bring me here?
Right. And then throws herself on the, is it eggs? I didn't want to do it, and they paid me. Fuck off.
With the idea of, now I'm going to report him to the police and he can go to jail.
Right.
And so I just leave town and go up to Dave, and Dave just ministers to me like the whole week. I mean, he is there for me, and I am like heavy with energy, super heavy. And
I mean, is this code for you guys banged quite a lot? Because that's what it sounds like to me.
He ministered to me all night long.
I had so much heavy.
Now, do you live in Rexburg? Hello? Melanie?
Hello? Melanie? What are you doing, Melanie? Come back.
Melanie. Did she call her Melody, or did the closed
Melanie,
caption?
are you there?
The closed captions
Hello?
messes up sometimes.
Melanie.
This is a girl, by the way, who this is.
Melanie, are you okay?
A girl from one of the Facebook groups when the kids were missing.
Hello?
And she ended up talking to her and then recorded it and put it out.
Smart cookie.
Uh-huh.
Hear me?
Yes, now I can.
Oh, sorry. I don't know where I've left off. I noticed that my phone clicked over.
Oh, you said that you called the Rexburg police.
Oh, okay. Sorry. You were wondering where I went. Okay, so I got to back up. I was speaking a whole bunch.
This person knows exactly where you were at, Melanie.
They talked to me later when I got back in town in Gilbert. So I decided to call Lori and Chad, and I recorded it. And
like you're being recorded now?
Hey, why did you tell the Rexburg police that JJ was me when he was not with me? And she says, well, I just did that for your safety. I didn't want you to know where he was so that you would be safe. And, because, just the situation's really uncomfortable, and that, we're trying to take JJ and da-da-da-da. And I'm like, well, you told me he was going to Kay's house. And well, we did that for your safety. And I said, you know what? I believe that you and Chad are being deceived. And I said, you're a core whore.
Exactly.
And I said, well, you call me a core whore? And I said, yeah, this is like a core whore. And
what?
I said,
it's
like a core
something
whore.
out of the Bible.
And, carnal desires. That's why I did this, because of the carnal desires. And I said, she goes, you saying I did this because of carnal desires? I said, yes, you and me know us both, hun, that you are very carnal. Because she has a very high libido. So I knew she's carnal.
Oh my God. Now, okay, look. This isn't, look, Melanie, look, okay. You need to stop right there. All right. Those who live in glass houses should not throw stones. Okay. And let me just say this. Don't be so, that's what you're focused on, is that they're carnal. Oh, and you can't even say it. Melanie, seriously? Just go somewhere
else. Say that the Lord said in Doctrine and Covenants section 3 that if you would have followed him, he would have protected you against all the fiery darts. I said, if you guys would have been obedient, you would have been protected from all the fiery darts. The Lord does not work in darkness.
Exactly.
I said, the Lord would have had your back.
Thank you, Queen Bee.
Well, no, and she's like, well, she compared herself to Ether that hid in a rock, Alma that fled, and Moroni at the end of his life fled. She compared herself to them.
Brother.
I said, okay. I said they were prophets, and she's like, exactly. I'm like, oh boy, and she was not happy. I said, you are wresting the scriptures. I read the scriptures. You think I'm resting them?
Good night, Nadine. Thanks for being here, babe.
Right.
Yeah, and I was like, and you are. That's what you're doing. And I said, I am concerned. She goes, you know how much I love you. I said, I am concerned for your soul and your salvation.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I did not hold back. It was like
you were concerned for your own ass, Melanie. Stop playing.
And I sent it to the police. And I was like, just know for my record, I didn't have the kid, you know what I mean? But
the kid.
And her goal was that she thought that the big earthquake was going to happen every month last year. And she was told by Moroni that it was going to happen, and so therefore it didn't matter what happened to anybody or everything, because life was just going to change. It's going to be fine.
Goodness.
And so anyway, so the police, I've talked to them, and they're basically, Chad is like texting people and calling people still.
Goodness.
Yeah, they can track him and stuff. So they just a matter of getting evidence on him, I guess, now. But
good.
Yeah.
They need to be getting evidence on you.
Yeah, no doubt.
That won't happen.
Yeah.
But anyway,
spoiler alert, bitch. It's going to happen.
So what have I learned? I've learned so many things. This is one
here
thing
we
that
go.
I've learned. I started thinking about the scripture from James, where he talked about
I lost you again.
Lordy be, Melly can't work a phone.
Melanie, I lost you again.
And then that person's like, oh yeah, you were actually talking about the scripture of this. Your last sentence was
yeah, let me get you back on track.
Again.
She bangs. Thanks for being here, Nadie.
Hello,
I appreciate
Melanie?
that, babe.
yes, Nay. Thank you and love you.
Melanie, I lost you again.
Korihor decided people in the Book of Mormon.
Yeah.
Where did I leave off?
Oh, the scripture. When you started to say you thinking of the scripture.
Oh yeah. So the scripture that says, for James, he wants for nothing. Perfect patient hath her perfect work.
Yes.
Wanting nothing. Wanting nothing.
Wanting nothing. Yes.
So the problem is that when we want something, and we want something, and we want something, there's a counterfeit that comes along. Joseph Smith wanted to give him to please inheritance. He gave him the plate. So he got in trouble too. He got in trouble as well.
Right.
And the Lord is trying to teach us is that we can't please our fellow man. We have to quit pleasing our fellow man and put God first. And so I started thinking about Dr. Bradley Nelson. Do you know who he is? The guy that does the motion code. He started it.
I don't like him, but go ahead.
Yes. Well, good. Because
I do not like him.
Think about this. Dr. Bradley Nelson wanted to heal 10 years, I believe he said, in a conference that I happened to be at. He was like,
Melanie, what else do you do besides attending conferences, ma'am?
The Lord finally waited. Well, so this is where the Lord comes in.
That
He's like,
is what
oh, here
he
comes
does.
the counterfeit.
Right.
And
all
they
she
opened
does.
the door to the doctrines of devils.
Yep.
And
Amen to that. Oh my goodness.
So this is how they come in. So all this energy work. Now, I used to kind of be a fan a little bit.
Right.
I never 100% felt good about it, but I kind of wanted to believe in it.
Right.
And I came to the conclusion from all my experiences.
Are you all in on anything? Because every time you talk about something, you're half in and half out.
People are opening dark doors. Even though they think they're light, it's bringing in darkness. And hey.
Absolutely.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, shit.
Lost you again, Melanie.
Hold on just a minute, hon.
Sure.
Oh.
My son's here. Hey, babe, what's up? I love you, sweetheart. Have fun. Make some good. I hope it goes well for you, babe. Okay, so I started really thinking about how this was affecting.
She didn't even finish telling her son to make good choices. Way to go, Melanie.
And then he didn't even like her at the end. He was like, didn't like
Make
her.
them good.
So anyway, she
you know
put a podcast
yeah, just have fun and learn stuff.
It is
Back.
it's most disgusting. It is disgusting. She's angry. She even says she's angry on it. And she not only says he's angry, she's like, no, Chad and me are friends. We've been friends for a long time. And I know that my angels have told me that the kids are safe and they're playing on the beach and everything's fine.
Oh my gosh.
I'm telling you right now, y'all, Melanie is still
Oh
salty
my
about that
goodness.
hairdo.
Yeah.
Is
Exactly.
she talking
She's out of
about
control. Her aura.
Julie?
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
Is she talking about Lori? Is that what you said?
Julie Rowe, she started saying me and Chad are friends and the kids are safe. She said somebody said that, but I couldn't
I
hear.
think it was Lori, not Julie.
That said her and Chad are friends.
Yeah, I think Lori is, or Melanie's starting to accuse them of
Oh,
things.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway, so we're like a prideful group of preppers, you know that?
Oh,
like
yeah.
we're so prideful. Like we think, well, if everybody doesn't know what we know, then they're asleep and they're just look at them. And so we just judge.
Right.
And I'm like, that doesn't sound like very Christ-like.
Nope.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's been a little disturbing for me to see this movement go on. And here, I'm just going to put the headphones on so they'll quit changing over. I don't want to close the door. They left the front door open.
Well,
Oh God, Melanie,
can I
you're
ask
a
you,
mess.
are you ever been afraid for your safety since you were so close to? What if they decide you're a zombie?
Yeah, well, I'm not distracting from their mission being together. Their whole thing is they want to be together.
Oh, okay, good.
So I'm not stopping them from being together, so they don't have any reason of popping me off.
Good.
I mean, of course, I've asked the Lord to protect me, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And the Lord says, well, if you keep my commandments. He's pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So anyway, I
okay.
learned that we're very prideful people, and we need to be repenting of just believing in anything, and it just really we need.
Meanwhile, you're going to 11
billion
billion conferences all the time, learning different things.
So done with groups. Done.
Oh, absolutely. Me too.
Done. And this has taught me to just, keep my change of heart and focus on beautiful things and help my family and keep the commandments and do call and follow me and keep it simple. And if you want to get revelation, you don't have any business out seeking for your second comforter when you don't even know how to get along with people.
Right. Absolutely. Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm. And Mike Stroud is apostate. I don't know if you know that.
Yeah, he is. Yep. Why has he turned against the church?
No, but he's been ordaining people to the 144,000 when he has had an altar in his house. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God!
He's had what himself?
Altar in his house.
What is that? I don't understand what that is.
An altar.
An altar.
You know.
Oh
altar,
no,
like
he's got an altar in his house.
Yep. That's what I heard.
That's what I heard.
Oh, you know, I stopped listening to his podcast too. I've stopped all of that. I do too. I'm just listening to the prophet and the apostles, and that's it. Nobody else.
Yep. So, please don't share this on social media. Of
No,
course,
no, I
won't.
promise I would not.
No,
oh my
she
gosh.
sure won't. It's going right on YouTube.
But,
yes.
it's so sad. It's so
all the
sad.
Facebook
You know
groups.
how sickened I've been by them. So sickened.
Goodness.
The first 2 months, I was like, I couldn't eat for the first 3 days. First 3 days, I just couldn't even eat. I was so disturbed greatly. And I've been in touch with
me off
Melanie,
hearing
her
that.
niece.
At least you were allowed to eat.
And,
exactly.
I've been trying to call her and help her.
Helped.
She's just really jacked up. Like she lost her kids. She got divorced.
No.
And she's up in Rexburg alone. Everybody else abandoned her. I mean, it's so sad. Yeah, it's so sad. Yeah, it's really sad.
So did they exhume? I know they exhumed his wife's body. Did they find out it was foul play with her too?
I don't know that information yet.
Okay.
He didn't tell me. I try not to ask. I mean, I'm not a super nosy person, so I try not to ask questions that might be uncomfortable.
Let me just stop you right there. You're not a super nosy person. This has been a whole gossip session. Stop playing with this lady out here, first of all. And second of all, you didn't listen. Melanie likes to have what we refer to in the business as plausible deniability. So if you don't ask the question, then you can't know the answer. And therefore, when they ask you if this ever comes out, you can just be like, I don't know. And you're not
Yep.
lying because you don't know. Get out of here, Melanie.
But I just
She's been talking
told him,
about their
you know,
sex
but
life
he's
and
talking
everything,
to,
but you're
people
not
on the
Right.
phone
nosy.
every day,
But
right?
you're not
Like,
nosy.
you know, he's talking to most people in LDS about it. He goes, oh, yeah, we're very aware of it. So,
Wow.
yeah.
So he's around. If he's calling people, he's around.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they didn't leave the country or anything, right?
They could have gone to Hawaii.
Hawaii. Oh, brother. Yeah.
Because she loves Hawaii, so they could be in Hawaii.
Wow. Did the police know that?
Oh, I told.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, of course. Melanie told him everything to make sure she's not in trouble.
Yeah.
Well, first
Yeah.
off,
Oh, yeah, they know.
and foremost, nobody gets revelation through somebody else. Anybody that's ordaining anybody anything,
Exactly.
that's baloney.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you know you're way off base if you're letting somebody say that you're. Oh my gosh, it just makes me want to vomit.
I know. It's sad, you know. Everybody, you know, Chad was such a nice guy, and he did have a hard time looking people in the eyes, though.
That's a big telltale, isn't it?
Mhm.
Huge. Oof.
Yeah, I can't look somebody in the eyes. There's a reason.
Yep.
Yeah, Melanie.
They don't want to. They don't want
Do
you
you
to
want
see
me to
what's in you
revisit
and-
your
and
your
them. Oh,
interview
man.
with Nate Eatonton, or how do you say his last name?
Oh my God, yes, I forgot.
You looked
about that.
everywhere but that man's eye. Stop playing with these people.
Oh, I forgot about that interview.
Yeah, I didn't though, Melanie. This is why you don't. Just out here BS in the whole world. I don't know.
Yep.
I know that they said that in this, I'll just make it go a little faster because they muted some parts of this conversation because there's like personal stuff. So I don't want to miss anything. So we'll just skip as far as we can until I start seeing.
Okay.
Isn't she? I mean, she is just too much. I bet it's right around here.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because to be taken out. Be specifics, but always.
Oh, brother. I should have just.
I feel like the adversaries always tried. Yeah, always had to end with me. Always tried to.
I know.
You know, but I've learned from it. It's if you, man, somebody needs to write a book about this, not specifically specifics, but to let people know they are all deceived, man. They're all deceived. Yeah.
Yeah. So much deception.
Oh,
And
it's so
you were
easy to
right
be
there in
taken
the thick
out,
of
be
it,
taken
weren't you?
off. That's why.
Oh yeah, because you're trusting. They usually go after people that are very trusting.
Exactly.
Here
exactly.
we go. Here we go.
Because like if we just
somebody
the
from a
basics is so
Facebook
boring, but
group,
that's
I've
the
learned a
safety
lot.
is in the basics.
It is, and the
All
Lord will
this-
teach you Himself.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. Exactly. I've learned how to understand and get knowledge for myself, and I thought it is the most neatest thing in the world to start being able to receive knowledge for myself. And I thought, you know, Mike Stroud was trying so bad to force feed people with spiritualism, and I thought it was really cool at first. Until he's
Melanie, hold on, I
excommunicated.
gotta answer.
I thought, wow, and he's like, you know, the general authorities don't know why they don't.
Melanie is Lori's bestie, or was Lori's bestie, and then she flipped on her. But in the beginning, when they were still friends, they were on a podcast together called Feel the Fire, and I'm telling it. And if you go back and watch like the roast of Melanie Gibb that me and Dr. B did, I'm telling you right now, 82% of Melanie's beef with Lori is that haircut that she gave her. I'm telling you, that's where it started. Okay. And then it just was downhill from there. I think that that's who she is. She's resentful. And the fact is that when all this came about, when Kay and Larry Woodcock, which are JJ's aunt and are they the grandparents? Wait.
Yes.
The grandparents.
Yeah, technically. Yes. Yeah.
They are JJ's grandparents technically by blood. But when they weren't able to get a hold of him, and they had been in regular contact, and Lori started acting squirrely, they started, pressing the issue. And initial, and so, but Melanie was integral in giving Lori and Chad like a head start, because initially when the cops called her and asked her if JJ was with her, she said yes. She lied.
Yep, she sure did.
And so she prolonged this. It's just
if it wasn't for her,
I know why.
Yeah, if it wasn't for her, they could have never pulled it off the way they did. Exactly,
Exactly. Melanie knew a lot of stuff, and I think honestly that part of it was an intuitive law enforcement officer may have said something along the lines of, well, if we find out at any point that you helped in any way, shape, or form, you could potentially be charged, right? And then I'm sure David Warwick was like, oh, hell no, this is a mess. Don't tell me no more. Call the cops, right? And that's why she did it. Not because it was the right thing to do, not because she was worried for JJ and Tylee's safety. No, not for any good at all. It was all, in my opinion, to save her own ass. That's really what it was.
Yep, and if it wasn't for Warwick, if it wasn't for her boyfriend, who knows what would have happened.
Exactly. She would have kept going right on, because Melanie was in that interview room with Lori Vallow after Charles was unalived. And, she's very judgmental about Lori's demeanor. Well, guess what, Melanie? That was recorded with video, and we can see your giddy ass too. So stop.
Yep.
Judgy ass bitch. Look, that's too far, Jen. Just stop. Now you're just being mean.
It's so much I can tell people.
It's true though,
I've been
but
sharing a lot with my friends and telling them they've been shocked, because they know Chad. A lot of them know Chad personally, and I said, and Mike Stroud, I said, he's it's just prideful. It's all prideful. We want. I said, and that's when the adversary comes after us. So we have to be so careful. And the Lord is teaching me all about pride through all of this, and how just
that's the right truth. So I'm telling you, Melanie.
Warned me about deceptions, and it was a lion chasing me in my dreams.
Wow.
And I came to understand it through other people. So my weakness is that I love because I have such a love for people.
Your weakness is that you're a lying liar face who tells lies, and you believe
I help people too much and get to the point where I'd leave the tree of life to partake of the fruit, and I'd leave it and go try to get people to come back to the tree of life. And that's where my sin is I'm leaving the tree of life to go help people that are off and down the ditches,
Right.
And Lehi never left the tree.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes.
So the Lord gave me this cool dream about this lion coming after me, and every time it was going to eat me, and I'd always wake up with screaming. Well, I didn't scream when I woke up, but I'd go, and then I wake up. So I started to figure out it was about helping people. And so it's a long story how I figured that out, but I know it's true. And when this last portion happened where I cut my friends off and just said, you can't be a part of my life anymore, just by the way I handled them.
What
I
happened?
had a dream that night about the lions again. This time the lion came after me. Instead of screaming and turning around, I turned and I said, just believe in him. Just believe in him. Just believe in him. And then I see Jesus Christ. And he is standing there. And I walk towards him. And then he goes to the cave. And then I walk through the cave to where he was.
Okay, I'm going to stop you right there, because this is sounding an awful lot like the Chronicles of Narnia, the Lion's Witch, and the Wardrobe. I'm serious. It is about there's some religious references in those books and in those movies, which are obviously based on the books. Yes. And so whatever, Melanie, you're so you can't even come up with your own dream. You got to steal from a fucking book.
Where the door is, it opens up and it's light coming out of it, just white light. And I wake up and I go, oh my gosh, I finally believed in Jesus Christ enough to cut these people off of my life, and this is what the dream was about. Well, time goes by, and I'm now realizing I am in the cave now. He was showing me the future of this cave now. And this is a cave, but the good
Yes,
news
needs
is
to be
there's
in a
light at the end of
cage.
the tunnel, or the end of the cave.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so I'm like, I can't believe he showed me already that. And it was, but the thing what troubles me, or a lot, like I don't understand, is he led me through the cave. Like I followed him.
Right.
I followed him into the cave.
Wow.
April
He didn't
3rd,
follow
truth
me,
teller,
I followed
April
him.
3rd.
Wow.
Like, did you want me to go through that to help other people? Like,
Oh,
what?
absolutely.
Oh, now
Melanie.
Melanie's
No
a
doubt.
helper.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh,
Everything we go through is
yeah,
everything turns for good. Everything is turned for good.
yeah.
I
And
believe you
so,
will help people. I bet you'll write another book because you will be able to help people. Because there's going to be people are just, I mean, they're going to be deceived in droves, you know?
oh yeah,
Oh, my
it's bad, and
goodness.
so it's getting so bad. And I've told everybody, no more groups.
Right.
No more groups. No more groups.
Absolutely.
And all my friends, I'm telling you, everybody that I talk to are like, oh my gosh, I feel so sick. I need to repent. Everybody's repenting.
Wow.
Everybody's
Look at
repenting.
you.
It's so
Melanie's got
beautiful.
everybody
It's so
repenting.
beautiful.
Oh, that's so
And
good.
I was like, well, at least I went through this because they would have never repented had it not got to this level.
Right. Right.
If there was no deaths involved and it didn't get crazy like this, nobody would have ever known.
Right.
It leads to bad things.
Right.
And so in a way, Chad and Lori were they were a blessing to many people to help them see how jacked up this is and how off they are. And I hope that Julie Rowe at some point will come to the conclusion that she's off.
We'll be around, truth teller. Don't you worry.
I know her personally, but I don't feel inclined to talk to her at all.
Right.
Just don't feel that. She's very strong-willed, and to another strong person like me, being a female, I don't think she'd like me very much.
Right. Right.
I don't like you very much.
Anyway, I'm good friends with one of her really close friends, and him and I are close friends, but I haven't talked to her since he's been really involved with her. I've kind of cut ties with him because he tells her everything, so I didn't want him to know what's going on in my life. Yeah, so anyway, I've been humbled. I've been broken down. I mean, holy cow.
Holy cow.
Just not been fun. But anyway, I feel peace now. The Lord, I did receive a blessing from a man who's a good man here locally.
Good.
His wife is amazing, and his children are just a beautiful family, and he's a really good man. And I just said, hey, I need a blessing. I've got some heavy stuff going on in my life. I said, I don't have time to talk to you about it because you got a kid that's sick right now, and I can't,
oh my
God. Just didn't have a chance to talk.
Right.
And he gave me a blessing, and he said he didn't even know what was going on.
Yes,
said,
Alex, tell truth teller. Come on.
to go back to your core beliefs. I was like, oh.
Pull her in with us.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like quicksand though, and you get in, you get stuck.
Be our trial buddy.
And go forward.
Absolutely.
And he said, you need to take a step back, and you need to heal, rest, and take care of your family.
Oh my God.
And you need to go read First Vision. And, I read the whole Joseph Smith history in the temple. And you know what Joseph Smith did? He said there was a great excitement in the land, and he did not engage in the great excitement. He decided to go to the Lord and ask the Lord himself.
Oh, isn't that neat? See, I've never put that two into. I know that, but I've never put. That's fantastic.
It's fantastic. He did not get carried away with the excitement. He decided to go to the Lord himself. I'm like, way to go, Joseph. You were true to us, Joseph. You were true.
Oh my goodness.
You were true. I'm so thankful
A
for
little
his
boy,
trueness.
such a young little boy, and he knew.
14-year-old little kid.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's so
I know.
fantastic.
It's beautiful.
Wow.
It's so beautiful. Yeah, so anyway, the guy finished the blessing, and he goes, I'm so sorry, and it's not me. I'm so sorry, but I feel like the Lord was chastening you. And I said, yes, he has been. You're right. No, it's not you. It's me.
Oh, my.
And he goes, I'm so sorry. I'm like, no, you're fine. I know you're right. He goes, the Lord is very aware of the situation. I said, oh, yeah, he's very aware.
Oh, that's so good.
He was so in tune, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Oh, my gosh. He was so in tune with what the Spirit was saying, whispering to him. He's a visionary man, too.
Oh,
so wow. It's so interesting.
That is
Yeah.
so neat.
So neat.
Wow. So now you're dating David, you said.
Yeah.
And that's so wonderful. That's
Oh, it is.
I
I've
have
had
to
a hard
speed
marriage
her
for
up, you
25 years,
guys.
and the Lord told me last year, you can leave now. I was like, oh, are you kidding me? I was so excited. I couldn't help but to be joyful. I feel like I've been in prison for 25 years.
Oh,
It's been horrible.
man.
And I was like, I wrote the book and I did the change and I did all that, and there was no change in him. Like, I was like, come on, they don't change.
Oh.
They don't change. I thought they change when you have a change of heart. No, they don't, Melanie. They don't necessarily change. The change is about you. It's not about anybody else. I'm like, oh. Anyway, that was hard, but I feel so happy and relieved not to be in that relationship anymore. I can't even tell you.
I'm so glad. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
it's a tender mercy. It
It
truly is
is.
a tender mercy.
It is.
Yeah.
Wow.
But no, I'm good. I'm doing good, and David is amazing, and him and I are super compatible, and we both are diehard missionaries. We're both overzealous. That's our problem. That's all we get. You know what? So we figured this out. If you're overzealous, then you go too much beyond the mark,
Right.
and too excited about things of God. And then he was teaching us to bridle your passions.
Oh, yes.
And I'm like, oh, we are so not bridling our passions when we get so excited about things. And the Lord was trying to teach us. You need to bridle your passions so that you will have love for your fellow man. And I'm like, oh, okay. I didn't get that memo. Yeah, I just always ignored that one. Yeah, like whatever.
Oh, Melanie, you're such a card.
Yeah, so just remember when you really want something bad to make sure it's what the Lord wants.
Yeah.
And just don't listen to people anymore that tell you about the future unless like it's a personal one-on-one conversation or something like that. But,
right.
even then, it's you gotta get your own revelation.
Absolutely.
And I'm done. I threw Chad's books away. I just chucked them in the garbage can.
Yeah, I never bought any of them, so.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
And I said to the police officer, I said, for being a visionary, ma'am, he sure didn't see this coming, did he? He goes, no, you're right. He didn't see this coming. I'm like, yeah, exactly.
Well, I read too that he was excommunicated from the church too. That he said he was a prophet and he was excommunicated from the church. Is that true?
I don't know about that. I don't know.
Oh,
I don't know.
That was along with all the police stuff. It said that he was.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah, I tried to talk to his bishop, and but he just moved wards when he married.
But you're not
Lori,
nosy.
So he moved so quickly
that
the bishop never met him. Yeah, he never met him. So.
Wow.
She's not nosy, but she tried to talk to Chad's bishop. Okay, Melanie.
If they're not, then they're okay. You know what I mean?
The Lord's
Savior took them. Yes, he took them up because
that is funny. And true, tell you're right. People like this,
she is
it's
right.
always like that. Give the group a bad name, the bad people, when most ordinary people are good people.
It's sad, and I think, well, next life they got
In any group, it's like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They got to make it right. They got to get everybody to forgive them on the other side of the veil.
Oh, it is so hard.
And
it is hard.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, you end a life. I mean, that's like they didn't get a chance to live here, and that takes their mortal probation, and it lessens it, and that's why it's so serious.
Exactly.
So this mortal probation, the other thing I've learned too, though, is that we all have to learn to forgive people in this life, and so that means that people are going to offend you.
Now the demon's talking.
So we are meant to offend people. We're meant to be and ask for forgiveness and forgive people. We're meant to learn those things.
I feel like my people are messed up the rest of the way. Maybe I'm wrong.
Do what?
It might have been messed up the rest of the way, but I could be wrong. Fast forward it like a minute and see if it's still doing that.
Now it's not talking at all.
What the heck? It's been so long I can't remember.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Rest of the way. It's messed up because the Dabook inside of her has now decided to take over and do the talking for Melanie.
Well, I'm glad we listened to that though, because I forgot just how ridiculous it was.
I just cannot believe. I mean, I can, but it's the audacity of Melanie Gibb, right? To pretend that she doesn't remember certain things, and then she gets on the call with this lady and she knows all the things. She can remember
Mm-hmm.
I mean, why is she
Every detail.
contacting Chad's bishop? But I'm not nosy. I'm not
Oh, no.
nosy. Whatever.
And talking about their sex life to some stranger.
Right. I don't listen. I, you guys know, and I'm not even making light of it, but I am a little bit of a heathen, but I'm reasonably sure that gossiping is one of those things that's frowned upon.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yep.
Lord. Well, we've been on here for almost 3 hours. Good Lord. It doesn't feel like that.
I can't believe it. I know. It was fun, though. I'm so glad we did it. It makes me want to go watch the rest of, like, it's been so long since I've seen, like, trial, or preliminary, that thing.
We need to know. Yeah, we got to do this. Keep going, because we don't have that much longer to trial. We got to suck TT in, because we need the third channel to go over to and talk about this. And you're sucked in now. You've been recruited, truth teller. That's that. You're part of the trial watching buddy. You're a trial buddy.
Yes.
Now,
Sorry, there's no option to opt out.
No, we don't have an opt out. That's it. You're in. Speaking of Truth Teller, tomorrow Truth Teller and I are going to be over on her channel, and we are going to be doing the other behavior panel video that they did. Yeah, and we decided to do it in the daytime, so it'll be 2:00 Eastern, 1:00 Pacific.
Oh, awesome. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
we're gonna
perfect.
do it
They'll give me
daylight.
something to listen to while I'm going to get Trenton from school, because Bentley doesn't go tomorrow. He didn't go today. He's sick home. He has bronchitis.
Bless his heart. How's he doing? Is he okay?
He seems to feel pretty good, but he's sleeping now. But yeah, he's like, he has symptoms, but he's like, when a kid gets sick and they just don't want to play, they just lay around. Like, he's not doing that. He's still kind of wanting to play, and so.
Well, I hope it gets better soon. Yes, you guys are all going to be our trial buddies. We're all in this together. Okay? And we're going to stick right on through, because we're going to have to go through Boone. And you know that she's going to act the fool. Leticia's coming too. So we all need to be there for each other.
Yes. Sherry said, I've been binging this channel. Thanks, Alex. That Sarah Boone is a distraction.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Boone is something else, y'all.
Yeah.
She's just oof.
She's a mess. And then TT, I think that's a good idea to switch up between day and night. I like daytime streams too. Sometimes when you're doing stuff, it makes the day go by easier.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thanks for coming up, Allie. You know I adore you, and I always have the best time when you come up.
I adore you, and I always do too. It's so much fun. And and then TT said, "Will join us next time." She said, "But I hate these people." Sorry, but we don't love them either. But that's why it's fun to. Yeah, that's why it's fun to listen to Jen Lou. Drag them a little bit.
Yeah, we like to get up here, and it's a fantastic outlet, truth teller. It really is. You get to say all, you just get it all off of your chest, and then you don't do something carnal, Melanie. I'm looking at you, with all the heaviness. You just get it right off your chest, and you're good.
Yeah. Stress relief.
It is.
But no, for real. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for doing this with me. The Vallow trial. It seems like it's been a long time coming.
It has been a long time coming.
But okay, I will let you say bye to everybody. Have a good night. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. All right.
I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Okay, bye. All right, you guys. Well, thanks for being here. I appreciate it. I hope you guys had a good time. I had a fabulous time with Allie. I always do. I can't wait to bring Truth Teller into this, because I know that's extra fun. So you guys look out for, I'll share it on my community tab. Make sure you are subscribed to Truth Teller's channel. And I will see everybody tomorrow over on Truth Tellers at 2 Eastern, 1 Pacific to read Sarah Boom for Filth. All right. Good night, everybody. Make sure you give a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you want to on the video. It helps. It's a good free way to support the channel, and it does help a lot, and I appreciate it. Thanks, you guys. Good night. Bye.